Hello everyone. I'm not even several minutes late, so I don't even know what you're talking about. You've embarrassed yourself there. Hello everyone. How are we all? Slop. We're doing slop tonight. It's award-winning journalism slop. As we do every day on Sunday. It's like going to church, except what's the opposite of redemption? It's that. And homosexuality is encouraged. So it's basically the opposite of going to church, really. Except it happens on Sundays. Oh. Right, where are we? Fuck off. I hate things. That's not the right person. There we go. You can give me money for this. Did you know that? Did you know you can actually pay me to do whatever the fuck this is? To hear me poorly set up a fucking awful stream. Where at best I'm going to shout at Nazis. That's the best you're getting. Apparently Leon is upset that Stokes has started calling Tesla swastikas. Yeah, that is a thing that people are saying. I could never possibly say that, but you know. Hello there, Helena. I'm very well. Yeah, I was just discussing with chat that this is like the opposite of church. In that, even though it happens on Sundays, it's damnation rather than salvation, and homosexuality is encouraged. Well, yeah, exactly. The gayer, the better.
True, absolutely, absolutely.
How has your the last 72 hours since we last spoke?
Monday. I was random Monday, basically.
Oh, okay.
But could be worse. They could have been. They could have been. The house could have blown down. Could have.
Yeah, make something up. Make something interesting up that definitely happened.
Yeah, I ran into Noddy Holder in Wetherspoons.
See, that could have happened. That's I don't even disbelieve that. Even though I told you specifically to make it up, so therefore I know you did. I believe that happened. I'm choosing to believe that. Oh, you were muted on my end. She was just telling me about how she met Nuddy Holder.
I did, yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a thing that happened.
Yeah. I forgot to unmute you. Because I mute everything before we get going, because I'm listening to banging tunes to get in the mood. So, and I don't want people to hear that. Because it'll be embarrassing. I don't know. Anyway, her name's not... I know I don't pronounce things very well, but her name is not Eleanor. It's Helena.
It is. That is true.
Not
There is
Eleanor. I drop my H's, though, because I am common scum. I've been through this. This is a fact. Anyway.
I mean, as if your chat should know that clearly by now.
Anyone coming here thinking you're going to get, received pronunciation is barking up completely the wrong tree.
100%. Did you see the letter that was written by Keir Starmer about the lovely little chit chat he had with Donald Trump?
Yes, yeah. Well, I've literally titled my show Keir and Donald Sitting in a Tree, Kissing, and that's only because I can't spell out the word fucking because they won't allow that, so I had to go with kissing. Yeah,
absolutely.
But no, they've been engaged in a kind of mutual reach around situation in the last couple of days.
They have. It's like when Xi Jinping said that Keir Starmer was fixing the foundations, which was a genuine thing.
It would have been amazing if Donald Trump had come out just to one up Xi Jinping and gone, I can't wait to be a part of the Jet Zero committee and the Jet Zero Council. Because Keir Starmer has got a plan.
Keir Starmer's taking the most difficult decisions you've ever seen.
$22 billion.
And a $22 billion black hole. It's a huge black hole. They had a really bad black hole. They had to fix that. I know people are upset. They had to fix the black hole.
Bigly. They won a bigly landslide. They did. Yes. God almighty. It's pathetic. Honestly, Donald Trump saying that Keir Starmer is doing, quote, a very good job is simultaneously the biggest lie he's ever told and the most outrageous claim he's ever made. Which is quite something.
Yeah, absolutely.
He must, in order to believe that, you would have to believe that he is the only human being on Earth who thinks that Keir Starmer is doing a good job. Not even Keir Starmer thinks Keir Starmer is doing a good job.
But did you see in the Times they got a quote from an MP who said that a bunch of the Labour MPs don't think that Keir Starmer has a plan, and I'm just like, I knew this 4 fucking years ago. You're a fucking Labour MP. Where have you been? I know more about your party than you do.
They've been up his arse. That's where they've been. They couldn't hear what he was saying with his mouth because they were at the wrong end. Yeah, they're fucking embarrassing, these people. Like, it was obvious he had no fucking plan. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was only surprised by the complete lack of plan. I thought they'd have, not to use the overused phrase, a concept of a plan. Something they could, like a kind of vague framework they could build something around. But they really are just winging it. They haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing.
Honestly, I don't think we can ever overuse the concept of a plan thing. It's too funny.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty good. Because he said that seriously. Donald Trump said that seriously and then won.
Yeah.
And then went and won. And not even just like the technical win that a GOP candidate usually gets. Like, he won the popular vote after having said that and after having been him. Wow, that is intense. That is intense. Yes. Should we get into some award-winning gerbalism then?
Yeah, go on then. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you mentioned the title of your stream. I have gone with the slightly less funny title, which is the benefits must be cut until the economy gods have been appeased.
Yes, yeah, we're definitely getting a change, and definitely not just more George Osborne austerity.
It's
It's fine,
just like
actually.
this Kendall saying, "Oh, there can never be an option of an entire life on benefits." Like, yeah. Quadriplegics have had it good for too long, haven't they, Liz?
Exactly. You know, people in comas, they need to fucking pull up themselves up with their bootstraps,
Bootstraps,
which is going to
absolutely,
be
absolutely.
difficult because they're in a coma. But you know what?
Their next job could be in cyber.
Or draft excluder.
Well, there you go.
Just saying. Let's think outside the box here, people. Okay? Speed bump. Oh god, don't do jokes that could become government policy, Kev. Don't do it. You're tempting the fucking the Pat McFadden fates.
Oh dear.
Hello. Running an economy isn't easy, nor is saving a political party. This morning, the woman from number 11, the Chancellor...
See, this is good. I like a bit of girl boss nonsense, right? Because all so often we scream at men being fucking dreadful. And I think it's only fair and righteous and feministy that we get to scream at these women being fucking awful ghouls as well today. So...
Exactly. 100%, 100%. This is some equal opportunity antagonism.
Screaming at dickheads.
Yes, absolutely.
Kemi Bad Enoch. Look, okay, in the immovable object of soullessness compared to the irresistible force of soullessness that is the two on the panel here, who's worse? Who lacks basic humanity more, Kemi or Reeves?
Honestly, I think Reeves lacks basic like human appeal to acting like a human, because whilst Rachel Reeves basically has no emotions and has no interaction with, it basically is again just like a lizard, like an android. Penny Badenoch is human, but just like a psychopath, right? You have to be human to be diagnosed with a kind of mental break. But Kemi Badenoch has to create the fucking demon person that she's become, whereas only someone who is programmed by ChatGPT can be as charismaless as Rachel Reeves.
Right, but like, she spent her leadership campaign attacking Doctor Who, and then one of the first things she decided to do was come out swinging with eating sandwiches is gay.
I eat steak for lunch.
Yeah, no, that's not... A human being doesn't say those things. Even if it were true, which, by the way, you'd be a fucking monumental psychopath, but even if it were true, you don't say that. What the fuck what? Honestly, I can't decide. I'm surprised that Laura Kuenssberg isn't crushed beneath the gravitational pull of these two black holes.
I mean, at least Kemi Badenoch makes me feel something. I mean, the feeling is rage and despair at humanity, but that is at least a feeling other than just empty.
I mean, you know what? I suppose it's a personal thing, isn't it? As to which one you hate more. It's fine.
Is here alongside the Conservative leader. The economy seems stuck, the books look a mess, so what is Rachel Reeves going to do about that? And Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives got things wrong, but miles behind.
No, so far she has not been on the camera.
Right.
The camera work is amazing here. Can we just go back to this? She says Kemi Badenoch like they're about to cut to that, right?
So what is Rachel Reeves going to do about that?
Look at this for technological brilliance.
And Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives got things...
Is that Kemi Badenoch?
Award-winning journalism.
I'll be honest with you. That is a very abstract representation of the leader of His Majesty's opposition. Just going to say, that's very weird.
Things wrong.
That's also not her.
Is she looking at Kemi Badenoch like she was speaking to her when they were supposed to be cutting to her as well?
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's literally facing that way. So nobody on camera knows they're on camera, I think, at this moment. Kemi Badenoch is probably smiling like an idiot, thinking she is on camera. Because she should be, obviously. Amazing.
Miles behind.
Amazing.
How can they start getting things right? You are quite the double act. Welcome back to you both.
I think she means pair of cunts. You are a pair of cunts.
I couldn't possibly comment.
You couldn't possibly comment. Because, anyway.
For reasons that will
No, because
become
I couldn't
clear.
possibly. Because you've already commented all that's necessary. You know,
Indeed, no notes, no notes.
verbosity
I wonder what your
is
Beats'
unnecessary.
Beatles song is, Rachel Reeves.
I'm more of a Beyonce person myself, Laura.
Fuck off. Fuck off. No. No! I hate
That's
when
the
they
least-
do this.
That's the least believable thing I've heard anyone ever say.
That's worse than fucking Donald Trump saying that Keir Starmer's doing a good job. She's into Beyonce.
I remember when Paul Ryan said that his favorite band was Rage Against the Machine.
Amazing. Fucking amazing. Oh, what was it? Soames. Nicholas Soames. Sir Nicholas Soames, grandson of Winston Churchill, right? Who, again, famously, it was described by one of his former lovers that having sex with him was like having a cupboard fall on top of you with the key sticking out. Delightful. Anyway, when the Tory party under, I think, someone like William Hague, were doing this sort of thing like, oh, who's your favourite artist or whatever, said the Arctic Monkeys in a way that made it seem like he'd never heard that phrase said before. Like, so obviously it's like Strauss or so like fucking Stravinsky, Mozart or some shit. No, the Arctic Monkeys. Fuck off, man. So, and not just that, but like, no one, if you say a Beatles track, no one's like, oh, well, that's not in touch with the people. No, everyone's fine with the Beatles. No one gives a fuck. It doesn't make you seem out of touch or old. Everyone knows the fucking Beatles. You don't have to say someone more modern. It's like, it not only is it a really, really unbelievable lie, it's not even necessary. There's no purpose to it at all. Lying for the sake of lying.
Yeah.
Hey Jude, I enjoy that song.
And what about you? You a Beatles fan?
The popular beat combo. The Beatles.
Yes, indeed. The
I've
Liverpudlian
heard of
four-piece, yes.
Honestly, I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the when King and Kodos take over the brains
Yes.
of Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. It's like, as a young boy, I always dreamed of being a baseball.
True.
The submarine.
Yellow Submarine? Well, I'm sure they'll be very...
Yellow Submarine. Yellow Submarine is her favourite song. She's a psychopath. She's actually a psychopath. No human being alive thinks that Yellow Submarine is the best Beatles track. No, not a chance. No. Just no. I don't need any further explanation than that. If you need further explanation than that, check into your nearest fucking mental home. You're broken.
Absolutely. Do not be. You keep away from the metal cutlery.
Fucking hell. Oh, God, she's rotten. She
Oh my
really
God!
is.
Imagine if she'd said, "I'd have to say the best of the Beatles."
It's still one of my favourite Alan Partridges. When he goes,
Yeah.
he goes, only the band, talking about Wings, only the band the Beatles could have been, is amazing. I love
And he
it.
could describe as classic rock for all the Britpop bands like UB40 and Def Leppard.
Popular choices with the audience, and I'm asking because I've been talking to a proper legend.
We're the people. You're the government. You're supposed to protect us. That's your job. So protect it.
Protect what?
Morning. Our team at the desk today: Beeban Kidron, film director turned tech safety campaigner; Theo Paphitis, entrepreneur and dragon; and former minister, Conservative Chancellor, all sorts of other jobs too, Nadeem Zahawi. Let's start as we all...
Wasn't he Chancellor for like a week?
He was Chancellor for a week.
Amazing. Fucking hell. What an absolute wankfest. This
But see, the
entire
same guy
show.
he took public money to heat his fucking stables.
Man of the people.
always do, though, with what is making the
No,
news
horses.
this morning.
What am I talking
The
about?
economy is centre stage for the Sunday Mirror and the Sunday Express, which also features the King in a kilt. For Burns.
Okay, why? Right. This annoys me with newspapers. Why is the biggest thing on the front page of the Mirror someone saying, "I'm pregnant, it's amazing, but bittersweet"?
I mean, it's funny to me how,
I
like,
don't care.
somehow the Labour supporting tabloid is even more tabloidy than all of the Tory ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Look at that wanker in a kilt. Oh, God. I hate the world. I hate it.
Speaking of wankers and kilts, Keir Starmer
yeah.
was at the Burns night thing.
Right.
And he posted a bunch of pictures on Twitter about it. And the first one just had the picture had like a drag queen in it, like a Scottish drag queen. And Michelle Dewberry was like, because he put a picture up of himself, Keir Starmer's put a picture of himself with a drag queen on the internet. It tells you a lot about the state of the country. And I'm just like, what does it tell you? What does it tell you, Michelle?
Well, what that whole interaction tells me is that even though he's enabled the most rampantly transphobic governmental policies, they're never going to accept you, Keith, if you're okay with the occasional queer person. That you're just not. You need to be entirely 100% on board with all of the kind of gender critical bullshit. Otherwise, they're going to fucking hate you. So even pandering to them, even if we disregard the evils of taking away people's medical rights, you fucking ghouls, they're never going to support you. They just aren't.
Yep.
Night. The Sunday Telegraph says Rachel Reeves is going to war with Labour's blockers, and The Observer has a poll suggesting voters want the Prime Minister to have closer ties to Europe. The Sunday Times, though, splashes on the awful failings of how the authorities didn't spot the Southport killer. And the BBC has talked to Donald Trump on board Air Force One, who has praised Sir Keir Starmer.
He's done a very good job thus far. He's very new in the job, but he's represented his country in terms of his philosophy. I may not agree.
How is his hair even more mental in that picture? It's got like fucking ripples to it as well now. Did someone microwave his wig? Is that what happened there?
Like, how does he look more orange every time? I know, like Orange Man Bad is just like a very 2016 meme, but honestly, he's terracotta. He's the color of my fucking living room wall.
Yeah, no one is that colour. No race of people that has ever existed on Earth has looked like that.
Literally, like,
That's not a human tone of skin.
It's ancient Greek pottery.
It is.
What he's become.
There's terracotta army fucking madness, and as fascist as that was intended to be.
But Bahamut's Vengeance says that they're convinced Trump's wig is sentient and running the show, or like that Treehouse of Horror episode from The Simpsons.
Well, or indeed my headcanon about Michael Fabricant.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
and the wig are have formed a symbiotic relationship, and one cannot survive without the other. They live together in, I mean, I wouldn't say harmony, but like tolerance, which is one of the few tolerant things about Michael Fabricant. Thank you, Tina, too, for raiding. Hello there, everyone. You know who I am. I'm really famous.
So yeah, ended the career of Milo Yiannopoulos.
Literally. Although he has tried to make a bit of a comeback. He's my favourite pretending not to be gay, even though he's the gayest human being ever. Type thing. Like, he's the gayest man ever, but he's now pretending not to be.
I mean, there's just like it's just funny the Dave Rubin effect, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Yes, everyone go and follow Tina too. Otherwise, I will fucking destroy the world of Minecraft.
I agree with his philosophy, but I have a very good relationship with him.
Well, you can just about hear the champagne corks popping in Downing
This
Street.
is the same guy, right? This is the same guy who threw a temper tantrum because Jonathan Ashworth went over to campaign for the Democrats.
Or that Denmark won't give up its southern territory. That's also a thing that he went mental about. That's
the Danes had it come in.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I don't feel sorry for Denmark, and they should like not have Greenland anyway. But they do, and America shouldn't have it either.
What is frustrating about this whole Denmark, Greenland stuff, is that in the polls at the moment, it actually looks like the Socialist Left Party are really on a kind of tear at the moment. There's a lot of consolidation around the Social Democrats from like the Liberals in Denmark, because they're in coalition with the Liberals and they've adopted basically all of what the right wing wants on immigration. And so the left have all moved over to the Socialist Left. But if there's this kind of if the Danish government looks strong against Trump, that could move votes away from the left, which would be frustrating.
Okay, well, I don't know how it all fucking work out. But, like, I mean, I said this the other day. There are some things people can't negotiate. Like, we've seen this with Ukraine to an extent. Not that I'm suggesting Denmark is going to go to war, against America for anything, because that's like a fucking, I don't know, a fleck of dust trying to take on a T-Rex. There's like no point to it. But, and they're certainly not going to go and fight and die for Greenland. But, like, there are some things that just aren't negotiable.
Yeah.
They just aren't. They're not going to fucking give away a huge chunk of land. Like, it's just not going to happen. And it has to be just a distraction, right? Because he's not going to lower egg prices, but he can get people to talk about Greenland instead.
There's that. He wants to look like a strong man. I think these kind of trying to corral some kind of revanchism towards like the America First project or whatever by looking like a strong man. And also on top of that, I think that he wants to make deranged threats so that people accept his tariffs. Like if he looks the more deranged he looks over his economic policy, the more likely people are to go, well, we'll have to acquiesce to the tariffs then, because otherwise we invade Greenland.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw the thing from the last couple of hours about Colombia is imposing 25% tariff on Colombia because the planes he sent to Colombia with migrants, they turned them back, as everyone said they would, obviously. Like, the thing about deporting tens of millions of people is, where are they going? Who's accepting these people, exactly? Who's accepting them for free? Like, you can do a Rwanda type thing. You can send people places for an amount of money, but that's going to cost a lot of money, especially with tens of millions, as he's planning. So, Colombia sent them back, and he's going to impose 25% tariffs. We'll see how that works out, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, it's crazy, right? So, beforehand, the American government sent fucking squaddies over to Colombia to murder people because they wanted cheap food. And now Donald Trump is just like, we will make the food as expensive as possible.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You're not getting $2 eggs, you're getting $20 eggs, motherfuckers. But you're going to have 4 fewer brown people. Woo!
Yay.
Also, Don Jr. is mad that Dad just made his drugs 25% more expensive. I mean, that's a funny joke because it's about Don Jr. taking coke, obviously. But, like, I don't think the drug traffickers are going through customs.
No.
I don't think they're playing... I don't think they're big on, like, keeping up to date with US tax code.
See, Donald Trump and Joe Biden could really have bonded over having sons who are addicted to cocaine.
Yes. And are definitely criminals who probably should go to jail.
Yeah, absolutely. Although to be fair, whilst Donald Trump may be very, very cringe, I support the pardoning of Hunter Biden just because he has Chad energy. That's it. It's the only reason. He may well have done incredibly criminal things and he's a terrible human being, but he's also very funny.
He is very funny. That is true.
And I'm watching watching the Republicans essentially having like the Spider-Man moment of send me pictures of Hunter Biden's cock.
Yeah, and he does have a big cock, which that's fair enough. Also interestingly, he's going to release the files into the JFK assassination and Martin Luther King. Not going to release the Epstein files though.
How very curious, isn't it?
I am shocked that's not how. I'm shocked that Elon Musk and Donald Trump aren't pushing very strongly for the release of files that they're definitely not incriminated by. Definitely not.
Yeah, absolutely.
True, the Democrats should have put Hunter Biden's cock up for president. Yeah, absolutely.
Probably going to bet than Kamala Harris.
Theo, firstly to you, you were last with us not long after the budget, and you were worried about the effect of the national insurance increases for business. You said there could be repercussions. Have there been repercussions for you and your business if you had to shed staff?
Well, that's the obvious one, which was staff, obviously, because business has to absorb, and it's a big shock, very short period of time. But the overriding thought at the time was, with growth, we can get through that. And growth has to be put before, in my view, anything else at the moment. Also, understanding the other competitive stresses on UK business, where, you know, we talk about the Donald, who signed 1,000 trillion executive orders in the first 30 seconds of being president, and launched a few bitcoins as well in the process.
Yeah.
But they are looking at their industries.
He has
and
launched a
making sure
Bitcoin.
that they're competing on a level
this
playing
is a
field
man
and
who
not-
understands what that sentence means. Yes. He's released an Ethereum and a Bitcoin and a Doge. No, look,
maybe he was stopping himself from saying shitcoin.
yeah, which would have been a more accurate and appropriate descriptor. Yeah. It's good. It's fascinating to me that the writer's just gone, no, let's just grift. Let's just grift. Let's not even pretend not to grift anymore. We're just gonna grift.
We realised their followers are fucking idiots. Like,
Yeah, which I mean, again, is something we realised years ago.
The thing is, at least we understand. At least our audience are discerning in how much of their income that they spend. Like, but when you know that like half of your base are just people who give like a third of their income to mega church pastors, you're just like, well, they've clearly got far too much of their own money.
When Let's Go Brandon merchandise stores started opening, I thought, okay, well, the world's gone fucking mental. The world is that's too crazy. You're going to open up specifically a physical shop selling Let's Go Brandon material.
Honestly, and honestly, the worst part about this is just say fuck Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Just say
exactly.
fuck-
Yeah, you
it's
can do
legal.
that. That is perfectly
Perfectly
legal. Yeah.
Yeah, just say fuck Joe Biden. Right? All you're doing by having this weirdo euphemism is make yourself sound like children
Yeah.
who don't want to say the naughty words.
HE double hockey sticks. Oh, you know, it's pathetic.
Never heard that before.
Oh yeah, well, it's a thing that kids in America do for the word hell. You can't say the word hell.
HE double hockey sticks. Sounds like a bingo announcer.
It does. It sounds like code. Yeah.
Yeah.
London calling HE double hockey sticks.
Being prejudiced from outside countries and outside businesses.
And you'd like to see a bit more of that here?
Absolutely, and we're seeing that now, the uncompetitiveness of some of our business, because other businesses from overseas...
Oh yeah, let's not let this prick off with just saying fucking, was it fucking Bitcoin or whatever. The thing he's saying here is, can we throw more corpses onto the flames so that line go up, please? Actually, like he's evil. He's actually evil.
Again, yeah, it's like the economy gods must be appeased.
Yeah.
Paying the same social taxes we pay, the same responsibilities.
Have we thought about sending more poor people into the volcano crater? That will appease the gods.
Another 7 billion to Israel.
Woo!
These regulatory issues, and we need to nail that, because that leakage is going to feed into our economy and we won't get that growth.
Nadine, what do you think the government should be doing? Because as Conservatives, you repeatedly said the kind of things that Labour's saying now, we'll get rid of planning rules, we'll speed everything up, we'll get infrastructure going, and it didn't happen.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do, and I tried to convince Rishi to do it, but unfortunately he didn't, is to get rid of the inheritance tax, but pay for it through what Italy was doing, and Maloney's done brilliantly on attracting wealth creators with a new non-dom piece of legislation, which would be 200,000 per adult per year if you want to come and be a wealth creator in the UK, sort of an enterprise residency, which would pay for the IHT, which is about 7 billion.
Can we fire this human being into the sun, please? In Minecraft.
I
Sorry.
fucking hate him. Like wealth creators, i.e., people who buy up our property and then just watch watch the Charles Bucks roll in.
Yeah.
creating nothing. Like I was watching a
Right, it's an
video,
unfair tax. Would get
which I'll cover on stream, right? I'll cover it on stream tomorrow at some point. I was watching a video by another YouTuber. I'm gonna start some beef, and literally he just spent the entire time talking about how he was a landlord, how people hated him because he was creating wealth, and literally all he does is he does YouTube and he does being a landlord. And I was just like, well, you're not creating wealth. You've created, the builders created the wealth. You just now have all of the wealth and are stealing the wages of people who are your tenants. I was like, stop saying creating wealth. You're not creating anything.
Indeed.
get rid of it. It will send such a
They're wealth stealers, is what they are.
Exactly, yeah.
powerful message to
Wealth scalpers.
even,
Yeah.
family offices around the world. They can hold UK assets much more attractively that way. If we do that, some of that work, I think it will make a huge difference. I think infrastructure, and I have to say, what Rachel, I hope, will be announcing on Wednesday, is really good. I used to live over the flight path in Putney Hill,
well,
and I was
we'll
one of the
get to
few
Heathrow.
councillors who wanted the third runway, because, by the way, you waste more time, energy, and, of course, hurt the environment by circling over Heathrow than you do if you get the third runway and land the planes on time.
We will get to that just briefly, Beeban. On
That's an interesting point,
tone, the
actually.
government
Pause one
had
sec. What's your opinion on third Heathrow runway, Kev?
I mean, I don't claim to be an expert on it, so my opinion is not particularly strong. But generally I go on when I don't understand the situation very well. I go with vibes, and the kind of people supporting it are fucking evil. So I'm gonna go with against, but again, not strongly.
Yeah, I genuinely still have found it difficult to form an opinion on this because I'm thinking, yeah, I did a whole bit on actually on stream and on Avara about this. The issue is just I've been given some there've been like things that have said that it might actually reduce emissions because it would give people more again what Sahawi said there about reducing the amount of circling around Heathrow waiting for runways. There are more efficient flight paths that planes will be able to take where they can go via Heathrow rather than via, I don't know, fucking Marrakesh or some shit, like when they're going from like Eastern Europe over to America. So I genuinely don't know. Just the environmental concerns are so great because aviation is such a large amount of emissions, but then again, the actual real problem are people who use private jets and frequent flyers.
Yeah, we could honestly, we could open up a third and fourth runway if we just like tie Taylor Swift to the ground. Just make sure she can't fly to the fucking shops and back.
Did you know that Taylor Swift reduced her private jet usage by 95% because people kept taking the piss out of her?
Really? Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
oh, that's what we need to do. We need to bully billionaires. It's the only way.
Yeah, she's taken like hundreds of trips in her private jet, and since it became a meme, she's taken like 2.
I almost feel bad for her, and then I remember, oh, she's a billionaire. I don't care. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, you didn't get Luigi'd, I'd count yourself lucky.
A very gloomy, doomy tone in the autumn, telling us repeatedly how difficult things were. Do you think they've got that wrong? Has that had a bad effect?
No, I absolutely do think they've got that wrong, and I think that they haven't sold this growth agenda to the citizens, nor the mum and pop and the small businesses that are actually the backbone of the country. And
is this a Victoria Wood character? I thought she was dead. What the fuck? This is amazing.
I must say, it does sound like she has a really, really bad case of the flu.
No, she just sounds like a mental old member of the House of Lords. Oh, she is? Oh, okay. Never mind then.
On all members of the House of Lords mental?
There's more. There's some more than others, but like she sounds.
Baron Sicker.
She sounds like she sounds like she fucking like dips her curtains in piss to stop the fucking germs coming in. Do you know what I mean? Like she sounds like one of those people. Thank you. Who was that? Thank you, James Holmes, for being a member for 7 months on YouTube. I love you.
Get help.
Anyway, also, why is the king ominously leering over this person's shoulder? That's off-putting. I don't like that at all. It's like, is he sniffing her? What's going on?
And I think that this pursuing global companies who do not contribute in the same way, as Theo says, is a problem for the reputation of the government.
OK, well, you've all laid down the gauntlet for the Chancellor. So did President Trump, who told the global elite at Davos yesterday that change was coming to the economy, whether they like it or not. And the Chancellor does now seem to be changing her tune a bit. Getting the economy going is back
Right, but
to
why
the top of the list.
why would anyone care what Trump really says? Because, like, he doesn't understand the economy. Like, he can have a massive impact on it, so he needs to be, like, you need to be wary of him. But don't, like, he's not a fucking... Look at every economic thing he's ever said, and he's wrong. Capitalists don't understand the economy. They just don't.
Pretty much. Yep,
He's in a
exactly.
I want to lead the most pro-growth, to grow the economy, the most pro-business treasury. Growth is our number
Yeah! Girl Boss Osborne! Woo! Fuck yes. I think this is what the feminists wanted, isn't it?
I mean, I must say, like, there was some woman on Twitter.
I'm already worried. If you're still on Twitter, you're probably scum. Yeah.
It was a bad way to start a sentence, but she was just like she said the genuine sentence like, I'm not ashamed of being centre left. I wore my Lib Dem badge to my year 6 school disco.
Oh,
and I'm just
you
like, oh, mate.
absolute
Oh, mate.
turbo mega virgin. Shut up.
You couldn't waterboard that confession out of me.
Yeah, no, if that had ever happened to me, I would take that shit to the grave. You could put me on
Exactly.
the rack, you could burn me, you could do anything. No, that is awful. Get in the fucking bin. It's where you belong.
But she was talking about how progressive she was, and then in another tweet she was talking about the boardroom meetings that she was in, and I was just like, I fucking hate society. I hate what's happened to fucking the level of discourse. I'm a progressive boardroom member who loves Keir Starmer and who was a Liberal Democrat age 11.
God almighty. Like, how broken as a human being have you got to be that soulless at the age of 11? You're that lacking in any imagination or hope for the future that you're a Liberal Democrat at the age of 11. I get being a Liberal Democrat at the age of 70. That makes a lot of sense. There's a kind of... They kind of look at a comforting Werther's original of politics at the age of 70. But at the age of 11, like, your life is over. If you're a Lib Dem at the age of 11, you are a soulless non-entity for the rest of your existence. You can't be saved.
A real husk.
You can't be saved. You're beyond redemption.
Yeah.
one mission, the number one mission to grow the economy, kickstart economic growth, the party of growth, grow our economy that our country has ever seen.
She does the muscles in her face work? Because she has one facial expression. She's incapable of any like you know they ever go at Kristen Stewart for only having that one face. She literally does only have one face.
Maybe
Just
watching
that
her
look.
attempt to smile is it's honestly it's rough. It's difficult. It's difficult to watch.
It's worse than when Gordon Brown tried to smile. Because at least he had like a weird saggy face, so at least it was kind of funny. Whereas when she does it, it's like she literally looks a little bit like Edgar from Men in Black, where the skin on the human skin around the insect doesn't quite fit. So the facial, so the movements don't really make sense. It's like that, basically.
Water.
Well, however many times you've said it, Rachel Reeves, and you have said it a lot, the latest month of growth was only 0.1%. So how do you think the last 6 months have gone?
Well, our economy has essentially flatlined for more than a decade now. I don't believe that low growth is our destiny, though. I know that we can do so much better than that. My optimism for Britain has never burned brighter than it does now.
Yeah, I can tell that from the passion of the monotone drivel. Honestly,
you can really believe it when she says
this is the kind of speech that you would want a great general to give on the eve of battle, to really pep the soldiers up for war. It's inspiring. It's like Churchill never died.
We're gonna beat the enemy. We're gonna win. Yeah.
I've tactically assessed the situation, and we have a 1.2 to 1 ratio of soldiers, so we'll probably be fine. Go and get them.
And that's why we are going further and faster in removing those things that are blocking investment and blocking businesses from creating the wealth and prosperity in our country.
But business people, like Theo's just said, actually say things that you...
Sorry, you're right, CG Mama. I didn't read your super chat. Thank you for the $4.99. Trump announced tariffs, full financial sanctions, and Colombia is flying immigrants back home. Well, exactly. I mean, again, you can't play hardball and not expect people to play hardball back. Thank you for the $4.99. And thank you, Pepsi Scrolls, for the membership as well. Thank you.
Indeed. Don't forget you can give us both money in the various ways that you know how. You know how.
You chose to do, like putting national insurance up, making it more expensive for employers to hire staff. That's shaken business confidence. Consumer confidence tumbled. Sainsbury's just this week cut 3,000 jobs just this week. Business optimism is at a 2-year low. And that's after your decisions over the last 7 months. So I ask you again, do you think the last 6 months have been a success?
When I became Chancellor of the Exchequer, I think that most people would recognise that the inheritance was pretty tough. Public finances...
She has gotten worse, right? Like, she was always soulless. But before she got into office, she wasn't as bad as this. It's definitely grinding her down, right? Like
I don't know. I feel like, because I've watched a lot of Rachel Reeves over the time when she was Shadow Chancellor, and I feel like she's always just been an absolutely kind of soporific vacuum. But maybe she's even worse now. Potentially, I mean,
maybe it's rose-tinted glasses. I don't know, but yeah, she is. I mean, this is honestly, you're making me hate life. Rachel, you are making me feel like life isn't worth living.
Yeah, thing is, even when I called her up, she didn't even react strongly to Ian Dale saying you're more right wing than Michael Gove. Like, she just was like she
probably took that as a compliment. Yeah, no, I am. Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
true, but yeah, like that didn't spark any reaction from her. Just a total emotionless void.
Well, yeah, because in order to extract joy, she would need to be capable of joy. And she, whatever planet she's from, they're clearly not capable of human emotion.
The T1000 has not learned that particular subroutine.
Exactly, yeah. That's what they need to do. They need to get the new DLC, and then you've got to switch her off and switch her back on, and the upgrades will take effect, and she'll be able to feel happiness.
Honestly, that expression that she's doing right now that you freeze framed is how I feel listening to her.
Yeah, that's what actually when she goes off camera, then they shut her down. That's her in like standby mode.
Utter mess.
But this is about the impact of the decisions you took.
Yes, but those decisions were to put our public finances back on a firm footing. And the worst thing that I could have done in the budget was to have swept those problems under the carpet, pretend they didn't exist, and leave us in a situation where our public finances were precarious. Now, why do I say that would have been a risk? Because we've seen what's happened in the past, in the last few years, when governments have lost control of the public finances and interest rates and inflation go through the roof. That's no good for working families in Britain, but it's no good for businesses either. We've now stabilised the public finances, which means that we can go further and faster on that bedrock of stability to grow our economy.
Well, the debt is absolutely enormous, and
but we can now move on and grow our economy.
Well, borrowing is at its highest level for 4 years. The national debt is absolutely enormous,
and that's the debt that I inherited as Chancellor. Yes, we've got to get a grip of those problems with the public finances, but growth is also essential for that, because an economy that is growing is an economy that can service those debts, which is why economic growth is so important. But
economic growth, beep boop, beep boop. Yeah, we know. We know.
Was she going to press the button, right? Honestly, quite frankly, looking at the growth figures over the last 6 months, I'm beginning to suspect that she hasn't pressed the growth button yet. Which, honestly, real missed opportunity there to press the big growth button.
Well, no, because you only get one turbo per race, so you've got to time it properly.
True.
You don't want to use it too early, and then everyone else takes over. Like you've got to use it when you really need it. Best to keep it back for later, I reckon.
Most of all, economic
Or they don't have a plan.
Yeah,
You know what they
it
should
turns
do?
out, right?
They should set up a growth quango.
Yeah,
Have they
Liz,
thought
like,
about
'cause, like Liz Truss had her growth commission or growth committee, whatever it was. That's the thing. Is, honestly, you were correct when you say, like, it's obvious that they don't have a plan. Again, as we'd said before, because they didn't expect to be in government. They thought, it's fine, we've got 10 years in opposition, we can spend the first 5 years completely expunging the left from all of politics. And then next time round, we'll have a good go at understanding what the role of governance entails. And then they just kind of magicked themselves, just stumbled into winning an election because of
Well, they
Boris
didn't-
Johnson promoting Chris Pincher, Liz Truss crashing the economy, and Rishi Sunak being Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, they didn't
And so
expect.
here they are,
They didn't
yeah.
expect Liz Truss to sail the good ship Tory off the edge of the earth,
Exactly.
but she did. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were never expected to be in government, so they've just spent 5 years attacking their friends, supposedly, rather than getting ready for potential government, because, of course, these are the serious adults in the room.
True. Also, they weren't expecting Keir Starmer to be Prime Minister. He was going to lose this election, and then someone, that they actually wanted, Wes Streeting, was going to take over, and he would be Prime Minister.
Exactly. Like, Keir Starmer was only ever, as Flying Rodent on Twitter described him as, a balloon with a face painted on it, to accept whatever ideology was thrust upon him by the McSweeney clan at the top of the party, the right-wing clique from like Labour First and Labour to Win. And then when he graciously was defeated with an increased share of the vote, he could then be replaced by the person who they would actually have as the face of the party.
Yep.
Once everybody who would vote for anybody different on a platform that wasn't based on lies was removed. But he's the accidental prime minister.
True. Who's going to lead us into fascism?
Pretty much.
Which is nice. Cool.
growth matters because that means more money in the pockets of ordinary working people in our country.
But if it was all going so well and everything had been perfect so far, why are you shifting your tone? I think viewers will hear that you are shifting your tone. You are talking much more now about optimism, ripping up red tape, those kinds of things. And you're even easing off on your plans to make it harder for wealthy non-doms to do business here. Did you make a mistake in underestimating the number of wealthy people who create jobs and wealth here?
They don't create jobs and wealth here. They don't. Stop lying.
Would leave the UK because of what you did?
Well, first of all, you just played some clips of me speaking during the general election campaign when I was Shadow Chancellor in my first speeches in Parliament. And on all those occasions, I said growth is the #1 mission. So that's always been the #1 mission of this government. But
okay, I'll stop you there, Rachel. You kept saying, I remember very vividly, I was covering this literally every day. I absolutely remember you during the election campaign going, we are going to focus on growth. You know what was missing from all of those speeches? You know what was very kind of easy to miss? You know what was just completely absent from all of that campaigning? Is any mention of how?
Yes. Apart from pressing
It's
the
fine,
button.
it's the button.
Just
Press
pressing
button.
Press button. Yeah. That was literally it. That was the plan. Yeah. Also, she's ignoring the fact that another constant theme was, well, how are you going to pay for any of these things? And literally the only thing they could ever point to was, nom 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 nom. That was it. Everything was going to be non-dom, non-dom, non-dom.
It was non-doms, it was private schools, and it was growing the economy. That was
Well,
it.
the private school stuff's already gone because they're spending that on the NHS. So where are you going to raise money for anything else? Non-doms, except now they're not even going to do that.
Yeah.
Even the tiny little bit of like helping around the edge, they're not even going to bother doing that because it would upset some rich people, and they are the only people that matter.
And again, rich people who Laura Koonsberg thinks apparently create a job for everybody else. When we've all lived in Britain, we know what our economy is like.
Yeah.
No one builds things in this country.
No.
When people get wealthy in the UK, they just buy assets and then watch the appreciating value of those assets roll in.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, everyone. My Left Eye sent me here. Well, welcome in My Left Eye people on the YouTubes. Hello.
Go and follow My Left Eye, everyone, in chat. I order you.
Exactly.
to grow the economy is you've got to return stability to the economy. We did that in the budget, and we're now tackling those things that are stopping investment coming by reforming our economy, ripping up the planning system. Just today, we're now...
So she's literally not going to answer the non-dom thing at all. Like, just ignore that like that wasn't mentioned. She really is just a robot. She's just a malfunction robot.
Announcing more changes to get housing built, particularly around commuter railway stations, to help businesses access a skilled workforce, to help more people onto the housing ladder, and to ensure that more people can take up those good jobs paying decent wages.
But I'll ask you again, did you make a mistake, or did you underestimate the number?
Ooh, award-winning journalism. I can see why she won the award. She is doing a journalism.
True.
Technically, she qualifies. You know, which I mean, ironically, does put her above about 90% of British journalists.
True.
just by like mildly pressing the point, holding the feet of the fire to one person ever. That does actually make her. She's top 10%, definitely.
Number of wealthy people who might pack up from the UK because of the decisions that you make.
Please. I will fucking drive you cunts to the airport. Yeah, leave. Go away. You're fucking leeches. Fuck off. Sorry. Just get quite emotional.
Because you've changed your mind on the rules you were going to bring in for non-doms.
It's a basic principle for me, Laura, that people who make their home in Britain should pay their taxes here. And under this government, people will. We're getting rid of the non-domicile status in the tax system. What we announced this week is around the temporary repatriation facility, which is enabling people, including those who have been non-doms, to bring money into this country from abroad without paying punitive rates of tax.
So you shifted your position.
That doesn't cost UK taxpayers any money. This is not going to result in any dent in the public finances, but it does make it easier for people to bring money in from overseas in a way that the previous government didn't permit.
But did you get it wrong? Because you've changed your mind.
We're making some changes to one part of the way in which very wealthy people from abroad are taxed. But it is a principle of this government. And actually, the previous government also made changes around non-dom rules. That if you make Britain your home, you should pay your taxes here. But we want to be an attractive place for some of the wealthiest and most talented people around the world. It's why when we publish our immigration white paper later this year, we're going to be consulting on visas for the highest skilled, particularly in sectors like AI and life sciences, to ensure that Britain is a welcoming place.
Ooh,
for global
H1Bs.
talent.
What about a welcoming place for...
Yes, Elon approved.
Absolutely, I'm 100%. And what's frustrating is that, you know, the worst kind of immigration system is a points-based system, because all you do is just drive down... Because all you do is you just drive down wages by increasing competition for the very specific high-paying jobs that you'd want to continue to be high-paying. Whereas if you just have like open borders, you get a broad spectrum of people from across the income distribution coming in, which is fine. That means no sector of the economy is having the increased pressure of extra supply of labour. But if you have if say your economy is 50% taxi drivers and 30% management consultants and 20%, I don't know, brain surgeons, and you import the same number of your entire population of just brain surgeons, well then brain surgeons are going to get paid nothing, because there's, you know, fucking half of your entire economy is brain surgeons. And suddenly the rate for taxi drivers is going to go up because now all these surgeons need taxis. So having a points-based system where you just accept rich or high income immigrants just means that you drive down the wages for the skilled jobs. You just want to keep the wages the same across the board, so you have a normal, let people in regardless.
True, very good. Thank you, Mobius, for becoming a member on the YouTubes, and hello there, my left eye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
And
Victory
what
is
is that
ours.
noise? Hello, Opeka? I don't know what the fuck that means. Anyway, hello there. Yes.
Businesses here for hundreds of years, many of them family farms. Your controversial inheritance tax proposals for farms, we now know, are only penciled in to raise £500 million. Now, of course, that's a huge amount of money for any normal person. In terms of government spending, that is tiny, and you've shaken a whole sector. You've made farm.
Okay, let's put a 100% Jeremy Clarkson tax then. Just
Well, the issue, of
whatever
course-
Jeremy Clarkson earns, we take 100% of it.
I mean, we should definitely do that. What just tilts me on this one, though, is that, of course, I've spent the whole interview trashing Rachel Reeves, but I'll absolutely defend her to the hilt on this policy. I think she should have gone further. No 20%, just pay the normal inheritance tax rate. Get rid of this incentive to buy farmland as a tax dodge. But regardless, the theme and the justification for this policy is because by removing it being an inheritance tax dodge, you drive demand down for farmland, thereby reducing the price so that farmers get better return on their capital because their capital will be worth less and their turnover would stay broadly the same. So, and you can also free up more land for actual farming because only farmers will buy the land now, which is the whole point of the tax. But because we don't educate people on what taxes are for, which is a way of, incentivizing certain behaviors within the economy, it's not revenue raising. That's what government spending is for. You then tax back to control inflation, to disencourage bad behavior, and to try and give value to the currency. And this specific policy was just about making sure people couldn't buy up farmland for inheritance tax. And we got this into our head that they're doing it because they need to fix the public finances, because these people have just got this household budget nonsense drilled into the public psyche. And so the justification that they could drive us away with is impossible to be able to impart upon the public because they don't understand the purpose of taxation prima facie.
Yeah.
Farmers very unhappy. We had an email from Arabella Solway, a family farmer, who wrote to us
Arabella?
last night saying everybody.
Yeah, Arabella, one of the people.
Salt of the earth.
Arabella and Jocasta have written in to say...
now has to
Cyril.
put aside anything.
Lord Tarquin Smithersworth III, Esquire, has written in to say he grows 2 potatoes. This keeps the Britain fed. Fuck you.
Exactly.
They
My
earn.
estate. Of my 3,000 acre estate with a couple of potato plants. How dare you? My children worked really hard for the stuff that I am going to pass down to them.
My children worked really hard cooing several sub-Saharan African nations, and they want to come back and inherit all of Yorkshire. Please.
To counter the fear of the inheritance tax bill that may hit them at an unknown time. They're not investing in farms, not buying new equipment.
Well, let me
not
answer
growing because of
those
that.
questions directly. In the most recent year of tax data, 40% of the benefit of agricultural property relief went to just 7% of estates. 37 estates got more than £100 million worth of tax relief. That is not affordable and it's not fair. Agricultural property relief will still be a more generous system of inheritance tax than anyone else pays. You pay at just half the rate. And unlike everybody else, you'll have 10 years to pay that tax bill interest-free, something again.
Yeah, they've still got like the cushiest fucking deal ever.
Yeah.
But it's still
half
it's
the
not
rate.
good enough. Still not good enough. Why should I have to pay
Honestly,
any
absolutely.
tax on anything ever? I just want all the benefits of a civilization without paying anything towards it, please, and thank you.
And I want my children to be able to live off of my inheritance and not contribute to society at all.
Yeah. It's literally,
so
can I have all of the cake and then eat all of the cake, but still have all of the cake, please?
It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Like, remember when this was first announced as a policy, and we had a pretty nuanced discussion over the overall negative externality of this policy. And I think that a lot of the points we made are still pretty salient now, even though I'm definitely on the side of keeping the tax for the reasons that Richard Murphy laid out. But even if I hadn't changed my mind on the overall utility of the policy, just because of the fucking gigantic shit fit fucking temper tantrum shit that we've had from the farmers over this fucking minor change in their taxation affairs, I couldn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, just do not care.
Yeah. Again, you shouldn't just go by vibes and spite. But sometimes it's best to just let your fucking freak flag fly and just go, you know what, if it annoys Jeremy Clarkson, do it. I don't care what it is. You don't need to explain the detail to me. Does it annoy Clarkson? Yeah, I'm on board then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Worth it for £500 million
Well, you know,
to
Laura,
shake a sector. Also, the supermarkets have gone public and said this is an issue. It might have an impact on the food
Laura,
supply.
I had to take decisions to raise taxes
So it was
at the
worth
budget
it.
to put our public finances on a firm footing.
But again, because the inheritance, because the neoliberal fucking brain rot has set in so much, there's no such thing as a positive tax anymore. There's like tax in of itself is dirty and bad and wrong. So even though the answer to the question being posed there, which is obviously, you know, you're saying it's worth it, then is yes, there are some things that are worth it. Yeah, we tax people who are rich so that we can have a civilization to live in. We can have roads and schools and hospitals. But she can't say that. She can't even just say, yeah, actually, no, yes, it is a good thing. Even though it's her policy. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stand up for yourself.
That's what the thing is. I mentioned this last week too, in that they're constantly in campaign mode. You won the election. It's over. It's done. You don't have to try and be everything to everyone anymore. You can run on your record now. You don't have to just kind of throw every single sector of society a bone. You can just admit that some parts of society you're not going to be able to appeal to and try and build a coalition. But once you've tried to build too broad a coalition, everyone's going to be there with totally disparate views. And then you'll end up trying to please everybody and end up pleasing nobody. Like, from an objective standpoint, it's shit campaigning. You're in government, just fucking deliver for people. And if people don't like it, they can fucking jog on and have their say in 5 years' time. You're the mandate, use it.
Yep. What would annoy Hammond? Things on high shelves. Long-term memory.
Those tax changes were the right changes, because otherwise we'd be on this programme talking about what tax changes would we have to bring in the future to stabilise the public finances. I've now drawn a line under the economic and fiscal mismanagement of the previous government. Our sums add up in a way that
started doing my own version.
Woo! With the plans I inherited from the previous government, and we are now cracking on doing the things on regulation, on planning, on AI, on pensions and capital markets reform to make Britain the best place in the world to grow and start a business and to bring in inward investment, creating good jobs, putting more money in people's pockets.
And you are visibly going to start doing a big push, a much more overt push to get things done. But there have been all sorts of projects, public projects, sitting on the shelf, not just for the 7 months since you've been in charge, but also for years. Look, there are some of the ones, viewers around the country might spot things near them. There are all sorts of projects that it's been blatantly obvious that for years need a shove to get on with. Why is it taking you 7 months to realise you have to put your foot down?
Well, we've already called in and signed off a number of planning decisions on onshore wind, on housing developments, on data centres. More decisions
Pause 1 sec.
in the first 6 months than the previous.
Thank you to a chatter who has looked up this Arabella.
Okay.
Arabella Solway. I think it's her, since her socials will talk about the inheritance tax. Arabella Solway lives in a lodge with 1,000 acres built in the 1740s by Theophilus Solway.
That is the most 17th century name I've ever heard. I love it.
Honestly, every single day that goes on in this neoliberal, dystopian hellscape, every single day this goes on, I become more sympathetic with dekulakization.
Okay.
I'm sorry, when people called Arabella and Theophilus start moaning about paying half the rate of tax everybody else, I'm like, no, straight to the gulag. Immediate Tesco gulag with you. And I will take the farm, thank you.
No Joseph MTJ.
Government took in the last year to unlock investment in a whole range of sectors. If the challenge is to go further and faster, absolutely, that is what we are doing. Just today, we're changing the rules to make it easier to build homes around train stations. That's something that Andy Burnham has been trying to do.
You know, train stations, there's places where people love to live. Yeah.
But I do quite like living next to a train station.
But you have to live next to a train line, which is awful. I've lived next to a train line. It was shit. Fucking house rocking every couple of hours. Rubbish.
in Greater
Although
London.
it was also near an airport as well, so it was a noisy part of the city.
That's that, yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, I guess there's a difference between. I guess trains in the UK aren't too bad in terms of.
Well, because they're not going
noise,
quick
but-
enough to make that much noise.
That's true. That we have very slow ones. Thank you, CG Man, for another $4.99. I'm on a UK Tier 2 visa from India, earning 125k. That's the points-based H1B of the UK. Are you lowering wages? I mean, that is something that would happen if there was a large glut of people using that specific visa. But it's not you lowering the wages. It's the government only prioritizing people like you coming and just you, rather than all the people from the bottom half of the economy as well. Like, it's not you. That's not a you problem. That's the government's problem that they've done there. But what they should be doing, rather than giving you a UK Tier 2 visa, like having a points-based thing, just fucking give you citizenship, and then you be in the labor market like everybody else.
I tell you what, let's do a quid pro quo, right? We'll give you full citizenship if you tell the Indian cricket team to stop humiliating us, please. Actually,
that'd be great.
That'd be nice.
If you, I will give you a full visa if you just go. And just kick Jasper Bumrah's shins for a bit.
Yeah, like at least let it be competitive, lads. Come on.
Yeah.
Manchester, but it's too hard to do that today. We want to go further and faster, make sure that people can get on the housing ladder, make sure we're building the infrastructure so we can grow our economy so that people are better off.
There's an interesting point though here, because you and your colleagues sat in that chair all through last year saying, we are ready to hit the ground running as soon as we get into power. We're brilliantly prepared. We know exactly what we're going to do. You're now 7 months in, and actually...
Well, their only plan was be corrupt. So in that sense, they had that fucking nailed from day one. Love it. But beyond that, they didn't have a plan. So yeah, I mean, you got a
concept for a plan, though.
Concept of a plan to create a quango, to create a committee and a subcommittee to come up with an idea of a policy, maybe. Thank you.
In 4 years.
In 4 years. Thank you, Andy Carter, for gifting a sub on the old YouTubes.
There are an awful lot of things that you're now saying, well, yes, we have to get on, we have to go further and faster. Were you too slow to begin with? Do you admit that?
Well, some of these things require legislation, and we're just about to...
To be fair, she had to boot up. So that does take a little bit of a while to get going. Yeah.
Introduce the planning and infrastructure bill. The consultation...
No, Keir Starmer literally referred to the leader of the opposition as Prime Minister twice. When Rishi Sunak was just the leader of the opposition, because he's that shit.
Adults in the room.
Adults in the room.
Pension reforms we want to bring in closed last week, so we can bring forward
I mean, technically the meetings in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest were adults in the room. Just saying.
Legislation. But, you know, we want to crack on. We've been in opposition for 14 years. Already, Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, Heidi Alexander have signed off planning decisions in their areas, planning decisions that have been sitting on the desks of previous ministers. A solar wind farm in Cambridgeshire had been on the desks of ministers since 2021. Ed Miliband signed that off in his first month in office. That will create secure, homegrown and cheap energy. There was no reason why it took 3 years to get that decision across the line. It's now a decision this government has made to have cheap, secure energy, more good jobs in Britain.
And the last time I checked, to go further and faster around the world, you need to get on a plane. So are you going to go further and faster and approve another runway at London's Heathrow this week?
I'm not...
Oh, well, this is an interesting one from Madcat. Can you name a couple of socialist icons in my Discord for my Heroes of Socialism series? I'll be doing Gramsci tonight. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much in advance. Oh, well, 20th century socialist icons. Buenaventura Durruti, the socialist from the Spanish Civil War, would be one to look for, I think. Oh, there's loads of the socialists from the anti-Nazi resistance as well. If you look at, I mean, you probably go in terms of the Balkans, go to No Justice MTG, she'll be able to tell you a lot more about that, probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can possibly comment.
of the sausages.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Wood. Mr. Peter Wood.
Also, I'd like to say that Arabella from earlier. Also has a 2.1 in classics from Trinity College, Cambridge. Must be useful for all of that farming that she definitely does, and doesn't have tenant farmers who does it and then she collects rent on it. I mean, it must be tenanted farming if she's got a classics degree. I can't imagine her getting her hands dirty.
So she got she got a classics degree from the Cambridge College, literally founded by Henry VIII.
I didn't know that was true.
Yeah, he founded Trinity College.
Wow. And then then it's £11 million her land that she owns on farmland.
Arabella, be very grateful that we're not going to party like it's 1789. Is all I'll say. You know, just be grateful that you get to keep the land.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's probably a reform voter, but unfortunately, the only reform she's going to get is Chinese land reform.
True.
I'm not going to comment on speculation on that, but
Chancellor,
we have already...
It's not speculation. It's our viewers asking the Chancellor, who knows exactly what you're going to do, what you are going to do. It's not speculation. So let me put it this way. Would you correct me if we said here on the BBC News, Rachel Reeves is likely to announce Heathrow expanding this week?
Well, you'll see the plans when we set them out. But already this government has signed off expansion at London City Airport and Stansted Airport. Both of those decisions, again, were decisions that the previous government had stalled. We're getting on and delivering. That'll be good for investment and trade in our country, and also good for families wanting to go on cheaper holidays as well. So we're getting on and delivering, whether it's on transport, energy, data or housing.
OK, I think that was a pretty big wink to it. What bit of this do you disagree with? Your colleague Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, said some time ago that the decision to allow Heathrow will have a damaging impact on air quality, noise and London's ability to achieve net zero. What bit of that don't you agree with?
Well,
the bit where he won't let us have a big massive orb. Prick.
All right, Tom.
We want the orb.
Bring us the globe.
Changed in terms of aviation, a sustainable aviation fuel.
Yeah, who would need to breathe oxygen when you've got an orb?
Carbon emissions from flying. There's huge investment going on electric planes, and also a third runway will mean that instead of circling London, flights can land at Heathrow. So a lot has changed in aviation, and sustainable aviation and economic growth go hand in hand.
Yeah, a lot's changed in aviation because apparently you think that the pigs can fly, dickhead. That's a euphemism for lying. I'm saying she's lying.
Trading economy, we need to bring investment in, but I believe that clean energy, that reducing our carbon emissions are good for economic growth. We can do the two together.
There will be a third runway then. You've more or less just said that.
Well, we'll announce our plans in due course, but already we've signed off expansion at Stansted and City Airport.
You mentioned there sustainable air fuel. Now, if you really want to grow the economy, if you really want to invest in new technologies, why are you going to let the Grangemouth refinery in Scotland go to the wall? It's one of the places in the country that could make sustainable air fuel. Nowhere in the UK makes it right now. So why not step in to help there?
We have given money to that local authority, and we are working with the Scottish Government with a growth plan for Grangemouth. It's a very difficult situation that we find ourselves in, but we're working closely.
Ben makes an interesting point, how the media do the similar thing with winter fuel and agricultural relief, in that they keep picking the wealthiest possible people to present to the public as the victims. And what's interesting is that the opposite is true with the VAT on private schools.
Exactly.
They try and dredge up like the 1 in a million person. Like I saw a Telegraph fucking article about the private school tax with somebody who said that I am a single mother working part-time and I have £12,000 a year and I spend like 3,000 of that sending my kid to private school. And I was like, I believe 0 words here.
Yeah, absolute nonsense.
Just trying to pretend that it isn't just, the top 7% of the country who goes to send the kids to private school, which is literally true.
Yeah. I agree with both of these tweets.
True, but very true, and on both counts.
Yeah.
Why is it that Maltesers are just better out of boxes?
They just are. They're less melty and weird and shit when it's in a box.
Exactly, and It's true. It's true. Jaffa cakes are always better out of those long tubes rather
Long
than
tube.
boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sandwiches better in triangles than in rectangles. It just tastes better. I don't know why.
I'm not sure about the child. You know what? I think we're gonna have to part ways on the sandwich issue.
Really? Wow.
not-
I thought
I'm
that was.
not-
I thought that was. I thought it was a common.
No, I can't. No,
position.
I don't mind. I'm not against the triangle sandwich. I'm not lunatic. I'm just, I'm
We're not
on
Kimmy
the
Badenoch.
fence. I'm sitting on the fence, sandwich slicing wise. I am the radical centrist on sandwiches.
True.
Okay.
True.
Closely with the Scottish Government to support people in that area.
But it's due to close, and then at a later date, there'd be fewer and different jobs as it makes a transition to become a different kind of plant, a fuel import depot. Those are skilled jobs in an industry where you could build a new one with sustainable aviation fuel. If you want the economy to grow and to create good jobs, isn't that exactly what you should be doing?
But we need to partner with business to create those good jobs paying decent wages.
Hang on, as friends rust, this is the unacceptable answer. Hear me out. Cut it into 4 like children have. You're a lunatic.
Oh, that is lunacy.
That is, you are. Seek help.
It's why we've invested, for example, alongside with BP and Equinor in Teesside and Merseyside in carbon
What's really funny
capture
to me-
and storage to support.
It's incredible that she will say, "Well, we're working on this investment with BP and Equinor," and BP is that's British Petroleum, which used to be the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which used to be state-owned and is now owned by cunts.
Yeah.
And they are getting half of that. And Equinor is what used to be Statoil, which was the state-owned oil company in Norway. And that's still owned, mostly, in majority, 70% of that is still owned by the Norwegian state. So it's really funny that we're going to be able to open these things, and then the Norwegian state will be benefiting from these investments with Equinor, and we aren't, because BP is not owned by our state anymore. So the Norwegian NHS, their healthcare service, they can get all of the dividends.
Why don't we just
all of
cut out
these
the middleman
projects.
and just give all of our money to foreign countries anyway? Just say, look, Belgium, we'll just pay for your fucking trains. Norway, we'll just give you money into your fucking national wealth fund. We don't need it, apparently.
And we already give away all of our money in foreign aid.
Oh yeah, that little trickle of money that you don't even realise. You do literally.
I know
it's the administration cost for the foreign civil service. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like, nothing is more tilting to me than people who seem to prioritise the fact that we give a very small amount of foreign aid over the fact that foreign corporations and countries and governments own all of our fucking infrastructure.
Literally.
A small amount of money being spent to ensure the places in the Democratic Republic of Congo that have been dealt with famine and war
Hang on.
for
Do you
how
mean
many years.
do you mean DRC or do you mean Rwanda? Because they're very similar. I've heard.
It's true. I mean, yeah, Chris Philp was definitely is confused on that one. But
Yeah.
like helping these places out that have dealt with war and famine and really need some proper development. Otherwise, they'll just move to Europe. They want to stay in their own country. They don't want to have to move. But if their country sucks, they will be forced to move. And they get mad at this. I don't care about that. Yet these same people are just completely silent about Czech billionaire owning Royal Mail. Other countries used to own our rail networks, our energy networks owned by like French companies doing distribution. We've got or supply. We've got Norwegian companies doing drilling. We have foreign shareholders and private capital owning our waterways from Australia or some shit. And it's just like you can't. It's just the level to which they're only negatively polarized against poor foreigners and not rich foreigners.
Yeah, true. Cathay with a great suggestion. Why not just become a part of Norway? You know what? I'm on board. As long as can we agree that the new Norway, can we just carry on speaking English? Because it is, I mean, a better language. Let's just be entirely honest about that. And all Norwegians speak English anyway, so it's not like you have to learn anything. Whereas there's
There are lots of
no one in
Norwegians-
Britain who speaks Norwegian. Not a single
true.
person.
And most people in Norway who speak English better than some
Way
English
better.
people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, exactly. Can you send some people over to teach us how to speak English properly, please? Because you've got it nailed, whereas we're fucking struggling. Jesus.
And at this rate,
Yeah.
At this rate, with Nigel Farage becoming Prime Minister in 4 years' time, we might as well just have, like, a special military operation to denazify Britain.
Yeah,
It's getting to that
exactly.
point.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going to happen. During the war, the Norwegian government escaped to Britain as a government in exile, awaiting the overthrow of fascism. It's going to have to be reversed. British government's going to have to escape to Oslo this time.
Also, thank you, Lord Fritos, for the bits. I do not subscribe to the cube rule of food, which apparently is for identifying dishes based on starch locations. Identify any food purely by the location of structural starch. I did not know that.
Lord Fritos, you French again, the turncoat French. I did not give you permission to listen to or watch or give money to other people. You are supposed to be my bitch and no one else. Okay?
Some of our energy intensive industries like ceramics and cement and glass making, to preserve those jobs, to create new jobs in Britain. There are big opportunities as we decarbonise the economy to bring good jobs, given our industrial heritage, whether that's in Scotland and the north of England. And the good thing about these jobs is these are jobs in our former industrial heartlands and in our coastal communities. And we want to work, and we are working with businesses to unlock those jobs and growth opportunities.
Exactly.
There's no point investing in coastal communities because they're going to be flooded soon. With the rising tides, just do it inland. Just invest inland. It's long term. It makes a lot more sense.
It's going to be funny in 10 years when Nigel Farage tries to find his constituency only to realise it's been flooded whilst he was in America.
Yeah, exactly. He's spending so much fucking time in Donald Trump's arse if he doesn't realise that Clacton no longer exists.
The kind of jobs that might go in Grangemouth, but I just wonder how much of
The
this
MP for Doggerland.
Yeah, true. Did you see that he got snubbed again?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, amazing. That's the last 2 times he's gone over to America to lick Donald Trump's ring piece, and Donald Trump hasn't even deigned to give him a second of time.
Incredible.
Fucking hell, that's embarrassing. I mean, he's not useful to him anymore. He's not Mr. Brexit anymore. That's yesterday's news. What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. And Elon Musk is the one calling the shots, isn't he?
True, and Elon Musk reckons he's a wanker, so I hate agreeing with Elon Musk about stuff, but
optimism that you're really trying to emphasise today is down to the new man in the White House who's going to protect industry, get rid of rules, cut taxes. Are you taking lessons from Donald Trump?
We want to shout loudly with business about everything our country has to offer. It's what I was doing in Davos last week. It's what I was doing when I went with a business delegation to unlock opportunities for financial services firms trading in China. We want investment to come to Britain. We have got some of the best businesses in the world, some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, a talented workforce, some of the best universities in the world, and in sectors like...
I was worried then that the thing... thank you, Lord Fritos, for the donation. I was worried that text-to-speech was going to, drown out something worthwhile that she was saying. But thankfully, just like the rest of the interview, it was fucking pointless drivel. So you didn't miss anything. Exactly. You didn't miss anything of worth or note whatsoever. Honestly, we could have just sat here going blah, 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 all over it, and you wouldn't have missed anything.
Like life sciences, in AI and clean energy, we are global leaders.
So you're trying to make
we want
the
to
economy
shout
great
about that
again
as a government and work with businesses to unlock that opportunity. And there's huge opportunities in the United States as well.
But do you want to make the economy great again? I mean, are there lessons you think you can learn from the way that Donald Trump is setting about his new administration?
Well, no one is going to shout about all of the...
No, because Donald Trump is actually starting to try and deliver on at least the weird cultural, non-economic bits that he's promised his people. He's keeping some of his promises.
I mean, to be fair, he's not keeping his promises. He's keeping the Heritage Foundation's promises.
Well, okay. The promises he made on behalf of the Heritage Foundation, he's keeping. He said he was going to fuck over, trans people and stuff. He's done that. He said he was going to shit on brown people and try and send them out of the country. He's done that. He said he was going to try and bully Denmark into giving them Greenland. He's done that. He's done some things.
It's almost like, right? It's almost like, see how we were talking before about how Labour didn't have a plan for government because in the last 5 years they were busy fighting the left.
Yeah.
It's almost like, actually, there was a very large plan that they were definitely going to implement. Like, a large plan you could call a project, and the year of its implementation was 2025, right? So they had a project that was due to be put
The
into place in
2025
2025.
project.
Yeah. You could call it the 2025 project. It'd be a great name.
You could. Oh, hang on. Here's another one. Project 2025.
I wonder.
Crazy.
Amazing things about a country, apart from the government and the businesses in a country. I'm going to do that for Britain. We've got unique strengths. We've got huge
Does
opportunities.
she remind anyone else of Droopy Dog? She does a bit. Yeah. The economy's very, very bad.
And I'm determined to go further and faster on delivering those for Britain.
Here's one of the dilemmas where you want to encourage a new industry but also protect an existing one. You know, we're going to hear a bit later from Paul McCartney, because ministers are mulling whether to allow supercomputers, AI, as it gets incredibly sophisticated, to skim content from artists like him on the internet without paying copyright. There are lots of very serious concerns.
Again, they've gone to the least affected person on Earth by that. Like, the man who's already a multi-squillionaire and about to die anyway, so who gives a fuck? Like, whereas, the average fucking artist who needs, like, X number of commissions just to be able to live, they're the person getting fucked over by this. But let's interview Paul McCartney, because clout.
And if there is anyone in this world who does not deserve to have their copyright protected, it's Paul fucking McCartney.
True.
After what they did to I don't know if you heard about this, Kev. You probably did, about how like in one of the Ruttles albums, on their compilation albums, it's written by Neil Innes, doing like style parodies of the Beatles. So not direct parodies, not direct copies, nothing like that, right? But there were songs that were written to sound like they were written by the Beatles, and he does a really good job because Neil Innes is basically a genius. And fucking McCartney and Lennon sued him for copyright, even though he didn't copy anything. He just made something sound like it was the Beatles. But he was so good at making his songs sound like Beatles songs, even though he didn't copy anything, that they won their fucking case. And so now this Ruttles album is credited to Lennon, McCartney, Innes.
Are you saying that John Lennon deserved to get shot?
I mean, but there was also like the misogyny and stuff, right?
He did beat his ex-wife quite badly, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, John Lennon fucked over Frank Zappa of all people with copyright stuff as well. They did a live show together, and the commitment between them was that both of them could use the recordings for whatever they wanted, but you had to like attribute the actual song. And John Lennon put out a live album of it, and even the songs that were Frank Zappa's songs, he put down as Lennon and Ono as the writers of the song. So he got all the copyright money for it.
Brilliant.
Even for songs he didn't write. And the legal system in America went, no, that's fine. Yep, that's okay. What? Anyway.
This in the creative industries, not just Paul McCartney, but Sir Elton John has come
out. He was a jealous guy. Oh, that's good. Fuck yes. John Lennon fucking puns. Let's go.
Against this idea in one of the newspapers this morning. Would you be willing to listen to those concerns, to have those artists into number 11 and sit down and try to work out what to do?
The government are looking at copyright rules. We've got to get the balance.
Imagine writing the line, imagine no possessions, and then suing someone for intellectual property rights. That's a piss take, isn't it?
Also, can we all agree that Imagine's a shit song?
No, I don't think it's a shit song. It's ridiculously overplayed, or ridiculously, it's beatified. But it's an okay tune. It's just...
I just find it. I find it dull and repetitive, and I find the lyrics to be like, "I am 12 and this is deep," right?
It is a little bit like a child trying to write poetry. Imagine if there was no God. Oh, yeah.
Balance, right. We have got an amazing creative industries sector in the UK, one of the fastest growing sectors in the economy. And we want to support artists to make sure that they are properly rewarded for the content that they create. But I don't think that is incompatible with attracting AI companies to invest in data centres and compute facility here in the UK. And unless we get that investment, we're going to miss out on big opportunities, not just for big firms, but also to make sure that smaller businesses can use new technologies to improve their productivity and improve their wages in their sectors.
Would you, as the Chancellor in charge of the economy, have them into number 11 to listen to their concerns? Because at the moment, there is very significant concern right across the creative industries that these proposals, as they stand, could do lasting damage.
I've met with Elton John. I'm very happy always to meet with.
And Elton John doesn't fucking
British...
matter either. Elton John is just as irrelevant as Paul McCartney, isn't this? They're both fucking filthy rich. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's bad in principle, but these aren't the people who are really going to miss out. You know, people who do not have money to spare are going to be the ones who are going to be hurt by this. I literally had Keir Starmer in the liaison committee, the liaison select committee, talking about how we really cherish the creatives of the UK, bringing loads of money to the economy. Are you going to stop like AI supercomputer tech bro bullshit from stealing their content? No. So you don't care about our creatives then?
No, of course not. No.
Also, thank you for pointing out in chat. Apparently, it wasn't actually McCartney and Lennon who did the suing. It was their record label at the time who did it on their behalf, and they didn't ask for it. So maybe Macca and maybe we can just attack John Lennon for the whole wife beating thing.
Yeah. And, like, I'm not saying he did deserve to get shot, but he was a phony. Like, you can say, oh, it was crazy. You know, he was inspired by a book to go and kill a man. But John Lennon was fake as fuck. Preaching, like, fucking socialism whilst literally in his rented suite at the hotel, they had an air-conditioned room for fur clothing.
I mean, because socialism was when no fur room.
Yeah, you know what? I am actually going to say that socialism.
Yeah,
socialism does not include specific air-conditioned room for your fur clothing. Yes.
No, yeah,
it's not technically.
Reasonable.
Marx didn't write about that. I will say this is something I'm adding into the mixture as a modern addendum to socialism. But yes, that is not tolerable. I'm not coming for your toothbrush. I am coming for your fucking air-controlled fur rooms.
That's true. Very, very true. Because I think that the point I really made, because even with the conspicuous consumption of people like Hassan, you know, a car and a house, these are things you can really justify spending lots of money on. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Even in Hassan's position, unjustifiable having a air-conditioned fur room.
Yeah, there are practical things that I'm fine with. I don't mind a bit of largesse. And actually, I think socialism shouldn't be a poverty cult. I think everyone can have a nice car. Not necessarily like a supercar, but like a nice car. Nice car, comfortable house, enough food. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, Richie asks, why aren't the small artists coming together and forming unions? These rich artists shouldn't be fronting this campaign against this bad policy. Well, there is the Musicians' Union. My brother is a member of the Musicians' Union. Like, not enough small artists join the union because most young people, most under 30s, don't know what fucking unions are, and they don't join. Yeah. So it's something that should be more popular than it is. But second of all, the Musicians' Union is fucking affiliated to the Labour Party. Yeah. And if they've not, put their foot down on what's happening right now, they never will they?
Is it wrong to have principles if you're wealthy? No, my argument wasn't that he shouldn't. My problem is that he was wealthy. My problem is he was like fake with it. He wasn't like he was preaching like kind of socialism whilst living in ludicrous opulence. Like literally he wrote the line, "Imagine no possessions," whilst he had an air-conditioned fur room. And not like a cool, like, furry room. That would be a different thing. Although, again, do you need air conditioning for non-living creatures? I'm not sure you do.
No.
Yeah. Just, it's a bit of a piss take. In a city with, tens of thousands of homeless people. I don't know that you need the air-conditioned room. Just saying.
encourage entrepreneurs and creatives to talk about how our economy can work better for them. But I don't think we should see these things as either or. We've got to support our creative industry. It's a fast-growing growth sector in the UK. It's part of our modern industrial strategy. But there are huge opportunities in the jobs and the industries of AI. It's why just a couple of weeks ago the Prime Minister launched...
What jobs are there in AI? What jobs?
You get to build a data center and you get to sit there on a chair saying, "So that server's not overheated yet."
Yeah, there's nothing. Honestly, AI is unless someone can come up with some actual reason why it isn't just a pile of tech bro wank. I'm so against it. It seems like just nothing but negative to me. I'll happily give up the ability to go to Grok and say, "Oh, make me a picture of Elon Musk kissing Hitler." I'll give up that fucking huge right that we've all had for the last 5 minutes, so that we don't burn the world down for nothing.
Honestly, I think there is one correct AI take, right? There is a singular correct take on AI, and I will not hear anything else. And that is that if AI is owned collectively and used to reduce working hours by making us more efficient and more productive, then that's a really good thing. Because everyone gets to work half the time and we keep the same level of productivity because we are outsourcing the boring and tedious shit to computers. That's a really
right,
good
but
thing.
that literal sentence could be said about every single technological change that has ever happened, right?
Well, exactly.
But the difference is having a loom is still worthwhile, even if it's not used in that way. Even if it's used in an exploitative capitalist way, it still means you're going to create a higher quality product or more of it or whatever. Look, it is a productive and worthwhile thing in of itself, regardless of the economic way in which it's used. Whereas AI, it isn't. I don't know what good it does. What good use it can have. I genuinely don't see the productive worth of it at all. And also, having electric looms didn't destroy the fucking planet. Whereas having AI might do.
That is also very true, right? There's the environmental concerns as well. But my big problem is that what the real dystopian thing is that all of these, up until a couple of days ago, actually, all of this AI stuff was all going to be owned by gigantic, oligarch corporations that were going to be used to funnel all of the productivity gains, if there were any, upwards to the top to those owners, whilst everybody else was still stuck working 40-hour weeks, except all of the good jobs would have been destroyed because of AI. And so all that's left is just street sweeping and call centers, which obviously would be absolutely miserable. So that's the point of inflection that's really clear to me. But obviously, of course, we're not going to avoid that. That is what's going to happen. We will be living in dystopia. Enjoy freedom whilst it lasts, chat.
Indeed. Maria Ann says, also, why didn't you tell me the Luddites were massive misogynists? They were of early 19th century humans. Of course they were misogynists. I thought that was taken for granted. That's like saying they also mostly had 2 legs. Like, what do you mean? Of course they were misogynists. Like, women didn't have rights at all, basically. Again, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's a thing. If you look at anyone from history, honestly, if you look at anyone from history, from let's say pre-Second World War, right? It's a bit different after that, but pre-Second World War, virtually every human being you would think of as like a really regressive scumbag, because they all believed awful shit for a number of reasons. Sometimes scientific ignorance, sometimes completely different social attitudes, different economics, all the rest of it. They're awful people. Awful.
Our AI action plan to ensure that we can attract those frontier businesses to the UK, but also ensure that smaller businesses can boost their productivity
it's
too.
An interesting dilemma, and unlikely to be the last for the government as you balance the risks and the opportunity. I want to just finally to talk a bit about what happened in Southport. Now, obviously, it was incredibly distressing, sensitive case. Everybody has been shocked by the details this week and, of course, appalled by the original.
Get ready for the thing that I've pointed out before when they have to pretend to be a human. Because she's going to have to pretend to be genuine and be like, it was very sad. I'm very sad about this. This is a sad thing that happened. And she's not capable of human emotion.
Events. But one of the issues here that the government itself is raising today, your colleagues, the Home Secretary and the Tech Secretary, have written to the online platforms saying, take down some of the harmful material that the killer had watched. If the companies don't do that, what will you as a government do?
Well, first of all, what happened in Southport and the grief that the families that have lost their beautiful children, and also those children who did not lose their lives but will forever remember those scenes that they saw unfold. My heart goes out.
Oh, honestly, the realism, the way she connected with the human part of herself. Honestly, I'm welling up here. Honestly, I've got tears. It's so moving.
To all of them, and we've got to learn lessons, which is why there's going to be a public inquiry to make sure we understand what went wrong and why this evil man was not caught and dealt with sooner. On the issue around content online, it's totally unacceptable the fact that the killer, before he went on to commit those horrific crimes, was able to access really easily on some of the online platforms such hateful material. And those companies have got a moral responsibility.
Yeah, some of it like the Tory Party manifesto. Oh,
Hey.
To take that content down and make it harder for people to access it. Already in some countries around the world, including Australia, their companies have taken it down. So they can do that. We are asking them to do that. We've also introduced the online...
Are you going to ask them nicely to do a thing that's not in their financial interest? Well, I'm sure they'll definitely do it then.
The John McDonnell's trap.
Yeah, write them a letter.
We will write you a letter telling you how angry we are.
Safety bill. Those rules will come in March, but there's nothing stopping the companies taking down that material now.
Yes, there is. Financially, it costs more money to do that than to not do that. You have to force them. There is a reason they're not doing it. You asking nicely doesn't change anything.
They've got a moral responsibility to do so, but the
they've got a moral responsibility. Well, Nike have a moral responsibility not to use slave labour. The technological companies have a moral duty not to use fucking copper mined by 6-year-olds.
Exactly.
But it's in their financial interest, so you have to force them not to.
Exactly. That's the thing. And if the CEO stopped doing it, they would lose their job because that violates their fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to maximise profit.
Yep. Indeed. And that's literally the one thing that matters to them. They want to make money. That is it.
Safety Act has provisions in it to ensure that these things happen. But let's not wait until then. We don't need legislation to stop these from happening. These companies can and they should take that material down now.
Okay, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, it's always great.
They should take it down. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. They should take it down. What are you going to do about it? Dunno, but they should. Moral responsibility and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Because if there's one thing we can definitely trust with moral responsibility, it's capitalist companies. They've never done anything immoral.
Nope, never. Beacons of morality.
And hopefully they take that seriously so that I don't get fallen out of a window.
Very much indeed for your time this morning.
Although I am a member of a trade union, so I might get right-wing militia'd at some point. You never know.
Yeah, the Pinkertons. Sorry, it's woke. They're woke now. There's Twinkertons.
Twinkerton. Okay, I kind of like that. Yeah.
Now then, remember, as ever, we want to know what you think. What did you think of what Rachel Reeves had to say? You can send an email
It was
in.
dog shit. Fucking rubbish.
Kunzberg@bbc.co.uk, or if you are social media inclined, you can use the hashtag BBC Laura Kay, and our WhatsApp number is there for you.
She still hasn't learned that
the
fucking
screen.
number.
Theo, what did you make of the Chancellor this morning? Do you believe that she's now got growth actually in her sights?
Well, I think she's absolutely right. Without growth, we will not see any benefits in business and the things that we're all expecting. Our whole society has been underinvested for a long time now. So getting our finances up to date and stable and...
I can literally hear them walking... What the fuck? put carpet down in your fucking studio. I can hear Rachel Reeves walking away.
The stable background for business is brilliant, but we now need to take those actions that create that growth. And that does need legislation and quick legislation.
And I suppose the thing is, are you convinced now that she really has the
Well, I
bit
thought when
between
the
teeth
government
and actually
does stuff,
can
that's
get on with it?
socialism.
Because I think everyone watching this morning is probably going to think, I haven't just heard this from the Chancellor, I've heard it from plenty of politicians over the years.
Well, the proof of the pudding, as we discussed earlier, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And you're right, we've heard it from politicians. We had a little chit-chat in the green room beforehand.
Gossiping when I wasn't there,
We
that's
were,
terrible.
and I was saying, this is brilliant, I love what you're saying, but you could have done all that when you had power, and you didn't. We won't go there now, but
It has been actually genuinely fun to see the Tories discovering the repercussions of their own policies and going, this is a disgrace.
It's, oh my god, the Robert Jenrick thing.
Oh yeah, Bobby
piece of
Jenrick.
camera.
So Bobby
Robert
J,
Jenrick thing.
Bobby J, failure as a Tory candidate. Was former Justice Minister, and is now going, it's a disgrace that so many rape cases aren't taken on by the courts and blah 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 blah. Like, who the fuck defunded it to the point where they can't take those cases on, Robert? Who was literally
Every
been in
year.
power for the last 14 fucking years.
Literally, the amount of these conservative shit that I've seen, the amount of things that they've said, which are a direct result of their fucking gigantic failure in government, where they just go, well, isn't the country shit now? You don't know how the country shit. Yeah, because of you.
Yeah, you did this. This is your policy that did this. You can't point to a thing that's fucked and then not point out who fucked it. Because it was you that fucked it. Literally, he was a former Justice Minister. He specifically, personally fucked it.
But it's important now that we see action. And I know personally I've made representations to the Chancellor regarding the unfair advantages non-UK companies get in accessing our internal economic market.
Biban, what did you make of it?
Well, everybody has to be sympathetic with the inheritance, and I do agree with her on that. But I'm worried about the numbers. I mean, she didn't really answer your questions about nom-dom, about farmers, about some of those things. And if I pick up on the area that I know most about, which is the AI piece.
Having mentioned it, she looks a little bit like John Lennon in drag.
The glasses don't help, I'll say
They
that.
They don't help.
At the centre of the AI opportunities strategy is this incredibly made-up number of 400 billion by 2030. And if you follow the footnote, it comes from a tech lobbying group paid for by Google, and they asked the computer. Now, if you ask the IMF...
What's that? Labour Party just uncritically regurgitating shit from the lobbyists? Well, I never. What a surprise.
She just lost the whip. Fact, that was anti-Semitic. Her pointing out the collusion of capitalists.
and money, figures that come out of proper sources. That number is the global uplift.
So hang on, you're saying that when the Prime Minister stands up and says there's all this opportunity from artificial intelligence, let's bring these industries here, it could make us £400 billion, you're telling us that that is a number about the whole world that actually has come from ChatGPT?
That, I can't say ChatGPT, but definitely from generative AI. And I think this is the problem, is we have to...
Oh God, we're literally going to have government policy set by ChatGPT, aren't we?
It's great. And the thing is that this is literally what the Labour Party correctly lampooned Suella Braverman for doing by saying, well, Labour want to let in 100 million people, because that was the total number of displaced people, both asylum seeker and refugee and internally displaced, in the world together at the same time. Well, they could let in all these people if they all decided to come to specifically Britain at the same time. Yeah, in the same way that all of the AI investment is all going to come to us because we're the world leaders or some shit.
Yeah, literally, you wouldn't need Quangos if you could just type in, what should economic policy be, into ChatGPT, and it'll just set your tax rates for you. Like, we're not gonna need anything. It's just gonna be AI running everything. This is literally the start of iRobot. Like, we're literally doing the thing. We're handing over the power now to the
Curfew
robots.
is in effect.
Exactly. And honestly, when the robots are killing everybody, look back to this moment. We could have stopped it now.
Ask, where is this benefit and where is the cost?
And Nadeem, however, Heathrow, I mean, I think she really didn't want to confirm it today, but she was talking about the benefits a third runway would bring. And by the way, we're expanding the others.
Absolutely.
You've sat in that seat. That means a yes, doesn't it?
That is good news. Because I think, as she echoed what I said earlier about, instead of flights circling over Heathrow, over London, 45 minutes, they can land on a third runway. That's great. Housing is good. But, and here's the real rub, what do we learn from America versus Europe, right? Europe has stagnated, America has grown. Why? Flexible labour market, right? I bought a business in Palo Alto 20 years ago for YouGov, and we became a unicorn because actually having a flexible labour market where you can right-size a business, Theo will tell you, is a nightmare in the UK. Worse in Europe, but we can learn from that. So legislation around employment has to...
When he says flexible labour market, here's a little kind of secret. He means shit. He means a shit labour market. When he says flexible, he means you get fired easier. It means you have fewer rights. It means you have worse wages and worse conditions because he doesn't want to pay you better. He wants employers to be able to have more of your surplus value because that's a justification for them to invest. Like, you pay your workers less here. That's a flexible labour market. And that's why what he's about to say is that the employment law needs to be toned down. And I'm like, no, actually, how about we have good employment law and we'll have an economy like the Nordic countries that are growing faster than we are and have higher living standards.
Yeah. When they say flexible, they mean you've got to be flexible enough to bend over. I'll leave it there.
True. For terms of
to be thought
service.
through very carefully before it begins to damage growth. And that's what we all want, because growth delivers better wages, ultimately. 2, energy. Cheap energy, ultimately, is a good thing. Why? Because actually innovation, whether it's sustainable fuels or solar, right, is a good thing. But it's happening, and it's happening rapidly. That's good. But let's not then cut our nose off to spite our face and not use the...
Okay, but can you actually cut your nose off? Could you do that?
energy resource we have in the North Sea. Why are they doing that? Why is Ed Miliband selling really a pup to the nation? The idea that you can decarbonise the economy by 2030 and it costs you nothing. It won't. It will cost a fortune.
Well, of course,
to
what Labour
Theo,
would say is having...
to industry. By the way, the people who build the houses, right? Wouldn't it be better if all the components for those houses were made in the UK? They can't be made in the UK if you have high energy costs.
How much do you think is...
Okay, but what about free market, bitch? You know, in China, they use slave labour. That's the ultimate fucking flexible market.
True.
Yeah, with the slave net marketplaces, you can get those components way cheaper. Like,
that's an incredibly flexible labour market. You have to pay people anything.
Exactly. It's honestly, it's the capitalist wet dream. It's why when left to their own devices, they will always go back to feudalism. Always. It always trends back in that direction because that's what rich bastards want to do. They want to own and control you.
Is the influence of Donald Trump is causing this change of tone in government theory?
Oh, there's no question it is. But the other thing, we talk about decarbonisation. Listen, you can't just decarbonise the UK on its own.
Correct.
You've got to decarbonise the world. If we go at a different pace, at the cost of our economy to other countries, while they grow their economy, that'd be disaster.
But you do think that Trump is part of the reason why this government is now shifting its tone and is more like, let's lift our eyes to the skies and be excited about the future, Theo?
But I think actions that are being taken elsewhere definitely have an effect on...
That's a really interesting way of framing it. Because that sounds really good, like, oh, we're lifting our eyes and saying we can grow. No, it's drill, baby, drill. It's let's just fuck the environment. That's not lifting our eyes to the future. That's literally saying let's ignore the future.
Also, to be fair, I'm sure the growth numbers for the US are going to look very different when they have 20 million fewer people in the country.
Well, no, they're going to get rid of 6 people to Rwanda. That's it. They're not. The people are just going to send them back.
That's the worst. That's the worst part, right? The worst part about Trump succeeding with this, as far as the UK is concerned, is that we're going to spend the next fucking 4.5 years. You know it's true, right? You're going to spend the next 4 years with every single Reform UK MP and representative and all of their supporters going, well, Trump deported them. Why can't we?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how fucking hawkish they are on immigration. As you were saying before, reformers will never vote for them because we're not doing the fucking Nazi shit that Trump is doing.
Yeah, we're not even Zig Heiling.
So we cannot ignore what's happening elsewhere in the world.
Now, we're about to hear from Sir Paul McCartney. Beeban, this is your specialist area.
Okay, but
and we
can we skip Paul McCartney?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I don't give a fuck what Paul McCartney has to say. I mean, I don't really care what Kemi Badenoch has to say, but at least that's politically relevant.
that bit in. Anyway, let's move on. Kemi Badenoch was with us the day after she became the Conservative leader. She told us then that the party had lost the public trust and would need to be honest about where they got things wrong. Well, 3 months on, she's made her first big speech of the year, but the public doesn't seem to be exactly rushing back to the Conservatives. In fact, recent polls suggest more of the public are now backing Nigel Farage's Reform UK than the Tories. But pleased to say she's here with us for the first...
Because again, why would you vote Tory? If you're actually a Conservative, anywhere from Conservative to outright fascist, why would you vote for anyone but Reform?
I saw a poll from Opinion that had Reform 6 points clear of the Tories.
Oof.
I had Labour on 28, Reform on 27, and the Conservatives on 21.
21. Honestly, I don't think any party is going to be able to form a majority. I genuinely don't, by the way it's looking.
On those numbers, it's touch and go whether the Tories have more seats than the Liberal Democrats.
Honestly, like, again, the Liberal Democrats are shit. But, like, I kind of get why people, middle-of-the-road knobheads, would vote for them, I suppose. But no, I don't give a fuck. Like, just the inevitability of them falling below the Lib Dems. When the Lib Dems literally, 6 years ago, were on 8 MPs or whatever it was? Like, they were down, they could have gone to Parliament in a single taxi. Just get one of those big fucking taxi van things, and you can get there in one fucking journey, lads. And they were about to fucking take over the most successful party in the entire world. Amazing.
First time this year. Do you think it's been a successful first 3 months for you in the job?
I think it's been a good first 3 months.
You didn't? Well, that's not what you asked. She said successful. Kems. No?
I mean, is polling 6 points behind Reform a success? I don't think so.
Look, it depends. The word success can mean many things to many different people. She's going very postmodern with it, I think. Yeah. I
mean, the fact that more people have an opinion of Nigel Farage than they do Kemi Badenoch, and it's significantly more. Like, her approval rating is technically higher than Nigel Farage, just because like half of it, or like 40% of the people say don't know.
Exactly.
Whereas in like 10% of people, when only like 10% of people say don't know for Farage because no one fucking knows who she is, and she's the leader of the opposition.
Yeah,
Farage has 5 MPs.
But yeah, people have heard of Nigel Farage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kemi Badenoch's nobody. Although, to be fair, he's been around a long. Like, when Nigel Farage became a public figure, she was still in fucking college. Probably, I imagine. Somewhere like that. 20 years ago? Yeah, she must have been, yeah.
I think success is going to take some time. We made a lot of mistakes, as I said, the last time I was here on the show, and we need to start earning that.
But you haven't learnt anything from them. You haven't corrected any of the positions. You're still doing the same, like, anti-migrant shit, and people don't trust you. The same low-tax fucking bullshit, and people don't trust you.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that this is what was always going to happen. I said this throughout my entirety of my coverage of the Tory leadership race, was that nobody, apart from, to a small extent, James Cleverly, recognised why they lost the election. The two biggest things on every single poll that was done in the run-up to the election, and it never changed in terms of the issues people cared about, was the cost of living and the NHS. Yeah. It was those two things specifically. It was, I need to have things be cheaper or more affordable, so my wages need to go up to meet the current new prices. And it was the NHS needs to start working properly. And when they lost, in every single interview, I watched lots of interviews during this for every single candidate, None of them mentioned these things. They talked about Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and feeling like they couldn't be trusted and they'd lost touch with the electorate, or they hadn't been conservative enough. They hadn't properly dealt with the civil service, or they were too woke, like Kemi Badenoch seems to think they were, if you can imagine such a thing, right? They banged on and on about it, talking about how the Rwanda plan didn't work. And I'm like, mate, the NHS sucked, people were poor. That's it.
Yep.
Like, it's no more complex than that. And what's her opening gambit, as far as being the leader of the party, is to say that she would have a flat tax, means test the state pension, get rid of maternity pay,
Yep.
and pick fights with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things we saw in the election too was that whenever they talked about cultural stuff, it was incredibly the people perceived it as out of touch, because people may care. They may care about trans people. They may be just as bigoted as Kemi Badenoch is, but that's a secondary concern to somebody who can't afford their mortgage.
Exactly, yeah. Even people who are, transphobic or racist or whatever, it's that, like you say, it's a secondary concern. That's not going to change their vote. They're still going to just be transphobic or whatever. They're going to vote for or against you on the basis that you might make their life less shit. Maybe.
Exactly. I mean, and the kind of policies that Kemi is coming out with, and the strategy she's taking of very kind of hardline right wing on everything from culture to the economy, these are the policies of somebody who is so out of touch with what real working people have to go through that she eats steak for lunch. Like, that is the microcosm.
But to be fair, sandwiches are queer as fuck. Like, they are. Come on. Sandwiches are very gay.
Trust back, and that's the journey that the party is going on, rebuilding trust. And that means doing the job that they've given us to do, being a credible and effective opposition, which I think is going well. Even the things that we've done this year, forcing the government on a U-turn on their education bill, making sure that they take the rape gangs issue seriously. They haven't done a national inquiry like I asked.
I'm not playing with all these mutants. Get to fuck.
Hello there, Beccasphere. Thank you for raiding in. Everyone go and follow Beccasphere.
Do it.
Otherwise, I will force you to eat sandwiches. You don't. But you had to be here. Anyway, everyone should. Everyone, if you're new here, you can hit the follow button. I'm here with No Justice MTG, who is also fucking awesome.
I'm very good. It's true.
Yeah, go and check them out as well.
But they have actually moved when they weren't going to do anything before. So there's a lot more to come.
So you think you are starting to get some traction this year, but you made that big speech. And what was the main thing that you wanted the public to take away from that? Because you outlined some of the mistakes. You said on net zero, on Brexit you weren't prepared enough, and on immigration you made a promise to cut it and then didn't. But what was the central message you wanted people to take if they didn't see you make the speech?
That the Conservative Party is under new leadership and we're going to be doing things
Also,
differently.
she's trying to appeal to people who are, like, crazy, like, anti-woke. The fact that she is a black person in a position of authority is woke to them. Like, that, just her being her, who she is and what she is.
She's a DEI hire.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what they would say.
They literally have said that. I've seen people say that. Even though she was voted in by the fucking Tory party membership. She wasn't even hired. She was elected by, 12 old racists, bizarrely. But,
and she's also got the strategy where she's trying to appeal to the kind of voters who would just vote for Reform UK anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's gone. There's no point trying to occupy that territory. Really, there's no... It's mad. Thank you, It's a Morton, for gigantifying an emote. And thank you, Dell59, for resubscribing with Prime. 47 months with Prime, Dell.
Wow.
Sort yourself the fuck out.
Also, Ben points out one of Kemi Badenoch's kind of central slates to her position is to not have any major policies until 2027, apparently.
No, she's got... again, it's Quangos in government, Quangos in opposition. We live in a technocratic Quangocracy. That's it.
But I don't think it's that she wants Quangos, right? I think it's just because she doesn't see her role as providing a counterweight ideologically, apparently. She just wants to just say that the government is doing badly, just stand there and just kind of haranguing the government. Nigel Farage already knows what policies that he wants to put into place. He's already selling an alternative vision. Like, what the hell does she think that her job is as leader of the opposition?
Well, thankfully, we've got an ideological vacuum in government, an ideological vacuum on the opposition benches. I wonder if there's ever been an example of this that could lead to some kind of a fascist governance occupying that vacuum of ideological non-entities. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
Potentially.
Maybe if there's only one party selling any kind of vision of the future, that's the only one that people can vote for. Just saying, guys.
The fundamental problem that we have across politics over the last few decades is the politicians tell people what they want to hear. So you're hearing announcements, not plans. I saw Rachel Reeves sitting here, a few minutes ago.
You don't have plans or announcements or anything. So she's
Not
saying
2027.
No plans and announcements. It's terrible. Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm going to have none of that until 2027, and then maybe I will if I survive that long, which I won't.
At least Rachel Reeves has the concept of a plan. She's not even got that. She's got nothing.
Yeah, she's. Look, by 2027, I promise I will have a concept of a plan.
And the thing as well is that she said the politicians are telling people what they want to hear, not giving them the truth or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, telling people what they thought they wanted to hear and just lying about everything else is how Starmer is now the fucking prime minister. What, do you think that was something that was electorally unviable?
Yep.
Doing the exact same thing, saying what they'd like to do. And when you say what people want to hear without working out how you're going to deliver it, then you run into trouble after you win. It's not just about winning. It's about doing the right thing and being able to deliver. And that requires a lot of hard truths, which we have not been discussing as a country for years.
But it's a very damning indictment of your own party's time in office and the governments that you were also part of, latterly. It's not just that you got some things wrong, but it's also you weren't straight with the country.
I think that there is more that we could have said, but I was not running the party then. I am now. And people saw my way of doing things. There were many arguments which we had, which I didn't win. People saw that, but I was always very loyal, certainly in public. You have to take collective responsibility. But now I can say the areas where I did disagree. I can talk about some of the things that I did. And I'm somebody who doesn't run away from difficult issues, even when there's personal pain involved. And that's one thing that I see a lot of politicians not want to deal with difficult things because it's too hard. They get attacked a lot, they get vilified. We're moving things along. And I do acknowledge that we made mistakes, but new leadership is going to require us doing some things that people may also not like. But actually, if we're going to earn the public's trust, then they need to see that what we're doing is real.
Yeah, I can't think of a word that less well describes you than real.
Honestly, it felt like it was listening to like a more erudite Keir Starmer. Saying, well, we need to be truthful about the reality of the economy and we need to bring about change, but we're under new leadership, so we'll rebuild that bond with the public that we lost at the election. Like, she's just saying exactly what Keir Starmer said.
We need to bring the change about, and that's the change that we're going to bring. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, like, exactly. That is exactly what she sounded like there. And again, just keep saying, well, we need to have hard truths and not being truthful with the public. And I'm just like, well, yeah, all you did in government was lie. Your whole government just lied over and over and over again, constantly, continuously. And she will still lie about immigration. Like, what's her plan for the resultant aging population that will come in, that's going to impact our economy? When we get this net zero migration, or when we massively move down, we have a cap or some shit, which of course every party wants to do apart from the Green Party, it seems, and the Scottish National Party. They have no plan. They don't even have a concept of a plan about what happens when we have an ageing society.
True. Hello there, Mix Vivian Wolf. Everyone go and follow Mix Vivian Wolf immediately.
Let's talk then about a very difficult issue. It's been very difficult for people this week to absorb the full horror of what happened in Southport and to hear more about the heinous crimes that were committed.
True, but she tries to make it into a weird race thing in a second, so stick with it.
Now, after the conviction...
it probably sounds a bit heartless of me to... This is a story about these 3 little girls that were murdered. Don't care. Move on. But I'm so...
Get over it. No, well, that's the thing. It's not that if people were talking about the actual story or what we could actually do about this situation, that would be one thing. That would be a worthwhile discussion to have. But they're not. They're using it for their own political fucking weird reasons, as you're about to see with Kemi Badenoch. It's fucking awful. It's just grandstanding bullshit. We saw this with David Davis on Thursday, didn't we? Like, he's a terrorist. No, he's not. The judge said specifically it's not about terrorism. You know, but he still has to try and make it be like, what's radicalising these young Muslims? He's not a Muslim.
Have you seen the discourse as well? The discourse online is literally, well, if you're not a terrorist, you have to change the definition of terrorism. Like, stop trying to change things so that you can just be able to do the fucking Family Guy race card thing.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The colour chart shit.
Well, you'll notice this week the guy was convicted, wasn't he? It was a white guy convicted of stabbing a black child to death on a bus. Is there a call for a national inquiry into this?
It's crazy because again, like, people at no point in any of the public discourse of people, apart from basically myself, referred to the people who tried to burn down a hotel housing asylum seekers with all those asylum seekers and the hotel staff in it.
Yep.
No one at any point when discussing this has referred to these people as terrorists, when it is explicitly what they were doing. It is explicitly a planned, because they wrote about it on social media, it was a planned violent activity being used to instill terror to further a political cause.
Yep.
That's exactly
they did
what
do
was done.
Terrorism, yes.
It was terrorism.
And some of them have been charged with terrorist crimes as well, yeah. Because, they did do that.
Well, no, but they had legitimate concerns. No, they're terrorists, mate. I'm sorry. I know they're white. I know they don't have the terrorist skin colour, but terrorism is terrorism.
Yeah, not every terrorist is a racist. Some of them are cunts. And some of them have legitimate concerns about Western imperialism.
Of Ruda Cabana, who took the lives of those young children. You said it was absurd the country wasn't debating integration more. What did you mean by that?
Well, that incident in Southport affected me really deeply. I have two girls, they love Taylor Swift, and when it happened, I could just imagine it being...
They love
Stop trying to pretend you're human, Kemi. Stop trying to pretend you have human emotions. It doesn't work.
I have birthed two fellow humanoids. I am a real person. Yes, okay.
And also they keep saying, it's an integration problem. This was a fucking insane person.
Yeah.
This is a fucking crazy boy. Like what
his parents were integrated. He was integrated. Yeah. He was just integrated and a bit mental. It's not an integration issue, just like it wasn't a terrorism issue.
Being them. And so it's really hard for me to hear the story without thinking about the impact on victims and looking at how we can make sure that this doesn't happen again. There are a lot of people like that, and there's still information coming up, but there are a lot of people like Ruda Cabana who are, despite being here from childhood or born here, they're not integrating into the rest of society.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we get it.
You're to do with integration.
You're one of the good ones, Kemi. We know. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I pick you. Now, can you shut the fuck up?
What? How was he unintegrated? What was unintegrated? Literally, tell me what's unintegrated about him. The kid was insane. Like he was obsessed with killing people and had like a million different things on ways on how to do it, and fucking recipes for ricin, wasn't it? That he had. Yes, he had fucking samples of. Like this isn't terrorism. This was just a fucking insane person.
Yep. Sometimes some people are just crazy. Sometimes they're just bad. Sometimes they are also terrorists, but not in this instance.
Yeah. Exactly what Matthew Parris said. There are some people are psychopaths, and that's just a fact of life, unfortunately. Yeah. And also a very good point from Ben Sharp here, saying that this is the person who was a victims-focused women and equalities minister who ignored the growth of violence against women and girls to attack trans people, and is also using a case of violence against women and girls to further her fucking anti-immigration agenda.
Yeah, and also her claiming to give a fuck about the rape gangs when she was a children and schools minister. Didn't mention it once in Parliament. Not once.
Nope.
Almost as if she's literally just trying to get Elon Musk's money. And indeed, the radiated clout amongst right-wing wankers that comes along with that.
Mm.
country, and they're being told that everything about the UK is terrible. He had materials about, white genocide and so on. If you are being inculcated in hate, you are not integrating well.
What do you mean? He was already integrated. That family was integrated. What you mean is black, which is bizarre for you to say. That's a very strange thing for you to say. But that's essentially what you are saying, because you wouldn't say this about a white person. If I did this, you wouldn't say this.
And the thing is that what they're doing is, all they're doing here is picking up random bits of material that are part of his absolute litany of psychopathic shit that he had on his hard drive, and picking out whichever one they think makes their point best. So Nigel Farage said, well, he was a Islamic terrorist because his Al-Qaeda manual. She's saying, well, he was lack of integrated because he believed that white people were terrible because he was woke, whatever. And, well, okay, well, how about I say, well, he also had a copy of Mein Kampf. So he was also a white nationalist. He was also a believer in the British Volk rising to their previous glory. Like, you could fucking pick up any old shit from the kind of the myriad bits and pieces that he had as part of his psychotic fucking literature collection to try and make whatever point you want.
Did he have a Palestinian copy of Mein Kampf in English for some reason, though? Because apparently they're very popular, though that run of books that were definitely published by somebody.
And there's so much that we can do across the board, not just on religious extremism, but also just extremism.
It wasn't religious extremism.
People use the word integration in conversations like this, that's normally taken to mean people from different racial or different religious backgrounds. As you said,
she's literally just pointing out that he's a black man. Like, it's odd for a black woman to do that. It's ridiculous.
I mean,
but she is trying to be.
Genuine.
That's why I did the joke about, look, I pick you, right? Because she's trying to be that. She's a pick me. That's what the fuck is happening now. She's one of the good ones. He's one of the bad ones.
I mean, the fact that she tried to make it like an anti-woke thing. Like, although they've been taught that the country is bad and that we need to genocide white people, like, that's the line that she was going with, and that's why he committed the attack.
But
what the fuck is she talking about?
Is that wrong though? Is that not the correct thing? Sorry,
I'm gonna go back to the Incredibles and then just go. The law requires that I answer no.
Well, I've taken, the unaliving oneself in Minecraft. I've just decided to go really oblique with it now and just be like, I would like X person to do the thing that I want them to do. Right, the thing that I want to say about this person, but terms of service stop me from doing that. They should do that. But I can't say what that is because terms of service. That's fine. There's no laws being broken there.
Killer was born in this country. His father's an African Christian. His mother's involved in the church. There are photographs of him in the newspaper this morning at the drama club that he used to go to. What's your evidence?
Was it an ISIS drama club though? Because they were big on that. ISIS.
In this case that his crimes were anything to do with a lack of integration?
That, I believe, is certainly one of the elements. There will be many elements, but my evidence.
Oh my
is
God!
My
fucking
experience.
hell! Kemi Badenoch.
So just lie then. Just lie.
Yeah, the person who keeps saying, "Well, I don't have gaffes. I don't do slip-ups. I always speak with purpose," asked an incredibly direct question: what is your evidence that this was an integration problem? And she goes, "Oh, well, it was partially to do with it, and some things there, but probably there's something to do with it." Yeah. Come on, Kemi. It's obviously a fucking grift. It's obviously a lie. She has no evidence. She's making shit up to essentially stir fucking racial tensions and try and conjure the riots of July back into the public consciousness.
Yep.
This person, she's evil. She's just evil. I don't know how a better way to describe her.
Yeah. Maria says, no, it was a Hamas drama group. Which, if you're going to have a drama group, you don't have ham in the name, surely.
Hamdrams.
Yeah, that's silly. No, you don't do that.
I'm saying this as someone from a similar African Christian background, born in this country. That
woke. woke DI. What was the other one they had? Oh fuck's sake, I can't remember. They had another acronym which I've totally forgotten.
That we make to make people feel a part of the whole is very limited, and it shouldn't just be government, it should just be the whole of society. We allow many groups, and I've seen it even in my own personal circles, many groups just to develop their own insular, sort of segregated isolationist
But I'll
ways.
ask you again.
What the fuck?
It's a very
Well, hang on a
sensitive
minute.
issue.
So was she trying to say that he was somehow part of like an enclave? Was there a Rwandan enclave in fucking Cardiff? What the hell is she talking about?
Yeah, little Rwanda. Yeah.
This is
definitely a
again.
thing.
She's just lying.
Yeah.
It's open lies that she's saying about this.
CRT, that was the one. Yeah, critical race theory.
Race theory.
That's
She's
the one.
openly lying and making shit up about this. This is genuine. This is psychotic. This is awful. And because you could very well actually make a much better point here, that if you want to talk about societal breakdown rather than talk about like racial or cultural integration, because when nothing relevant to this at all. But what is relevant is societal breakdown.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, entirely left at the feet of George Osborne and his austerity drive. But, of course, he's the good team. He's the blue team. He's the austere team. But Kemi's friend, so she can't do that.
Kemi bad DEI knock. Kemi bad DEI. No, it doesn't really work, but... Yeah.
And it's important to be really clear. What is your evidence that that was part of the factors in this case? His family were involved in the local community. They were involved in their local church. What's your evidence that a lack of integration was part of the reason that he went on to commit these absolutely heinous crimes?
But Laura, this is part of the problem. I have seen what has come out of the court case. I have made an observation. I think that these are things that need to be
What's
looked
the
at.
evidence?
But every
Yeah,
single...
but no, you've made... Okay, right, what is it about what you've seen in that leads you to that conclusion? There isn't one. You're lying.
But she always speaks with purpose, Kevin. She has gaff. She doesn't mince her words. She always says exactly what's on her mind. She's a straight talker.
She's so real.
Where's the straight talking Kemi Badenoch gone all of a sudden? Also, we have had another outbreak of journalism for the second time today.
Whoa.
Ginsburg is actually getting somebody who's avoiding the question to try and answer the question. I wonder if she'll go for a fourth time.
Honestly, you know what? That award might just have turned something for her. Maybe that's what she needs. She just needed the encouragement of being given an award she definitely didn't fucking deserve or earn.
Honestly, that's so fucking British aristocracy. So much so the British private school system where they essentially don't do any work. And they go, oh, I might have gotten an award. Well, I guess I better look the part now.
Yeah, exactly.
all the time, a politician wants...
Yeah, go on, sorry.
And actually, Big Al points out in chat, just like being asked 3 times what your evidence is that this was an integration problem. And it's essentially just that's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you try backing that up with a source? My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Wants to talk about these issues, there's often a pushback. Well, what's the evidence? Well, we're not really...
Yeah, exactly. Yes. No, I'm sorry. Welcome to the big boy world. Welcome to adult land, where you can't just make spurious claims without any evidence. Yes, if you want to discuss the very serious topic of cultural integration, you have to make sure that the thing you're referring to is vaguely relevant to that topic. Because if it isn't, if it's scrambled eggs, that's not really relevant to cultural integration, is it?
Well, exactly. It's crazy. It's just like, well, I've written this paper about how I have this theory about why evolution is wrong, why gravity is totally debunked as a theory. Oh, that's really interesting. Got this study that's debunking gravity as a theory. What's your evidence for this? Oh, well, now, oh God, just nowadays, every time we try and discuss the fact that gravity doesn't exist, people always come out saying, well, what's the evidence? What's the evidence for this claim? Why can't you just accept my bullshit at face value?
So much for the anti-gravity woke, tolerant left. Yeah?
Exactly. It's the gravity, the fucking, all of these gravity cucks out here just pretending that gravity is real as part of their woke group think, right?
Exactly. Get on board with the float arc, where we're just floating everywhere.
I may not have any evidence. disproving the theory of gravity. But really, it's just common sense. I mean, how can like massive objects just attract things? It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Isaac Newton was gay. Therefore, gravity is gay. Therefore, it doesn't exist. Because gay people aren't real.
We're de-wokeifying.
Exactly.
We're taking DEI out of our science.
Exactly. Take the woke out of my science.
Sure, should we use this sort of language? And the minute we start going,
it's got nothing to do with got nothing to do with language. It's what is your evidence that this had anything to do with the thing you are claiming it had to do with? Explain yourself.
Gambit here was just, well, as soon as you go down the road of requiring evidence, I'm just like, where's her mind going? That somehow, like having an evidentiary basis, having some kind of empiricism to the claims that you're making is somehow like a dark road that we shouldn't be traveling.
Oh, these number cocks who want evidence of things.
I think we start to lose our way. I have seen a lot of
You have already lost your way. If you think this is an answer that convinces anyone of anything, like you're so she doesn't, honestly, she's never going to come up with a policy as a Tory party leader because she isn't going to make it to 2027.
But
not a chance.
I mean, I hope she does. I hope she does stay until 2027. It'll be very, very funny watching the Tories get wiped out.
Well, that's the thing. They'll get to, 15% in the polls and they'll just have to get rid of her because they're going to get fucking destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities, from a lot of the work that I did as a minister, that more needs to be done. And when I see these cases, and it's not just Southport, the rape gangs scandal is another one. There are incidents happening across the country that are forming a...
They're involving brown people specifically. Let's not look at the examples of white people doing it, just the brown people. And if we exclude all of the white people from doing it, then 100% of them are brown. And we need to talk about that. And Noah will not be providing evidence.
Of things going wrong, and I want us to talk about it. But if every time we start having these conversations, people are shut down, well, we haven't seen the evidence.
You're not being shut down. You're literally being given the platform. You're on live national television. Explain your evidence. Yeah, no. What's the evidence of the claim? You're not being shut down. It's the opposite of that. You're being given a massive national platform to explain your position. And you can't because it's bollocks.
Yeah, well, these scientific journals keep rejecting my paper about why gravity isn't real that's provided zero evidence or any kind of peer review or study at all. It's just me reckoning based upon my common sense. I'm being cancelled. I'm being cancelled by the scientific community for not providing any evidence for my theory that gravity isn't real. That's literally, like, that should be hyperbole. That should be hyperbole. Should be. Except that's literally what she's saying.
Yep.
Very difficult to get this kind of evidence. We do need personal experience. We do need anecdotes. Those are the things that really help.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you actually don't. You need evidence of something.
She's literally doing feels over reels right now.
She literally. Ben Shapiro's going to lose. Oh no, he doesn't give a fuck. No, okay.
He doesn't know it's true, but honestly, you couldn't. This could honestly have been this kind of rhetoric that you would, like, right wingers pretend you get out of leftist discourse, right? Because right wingers think that all leftist discourse is as well. I have my own personal reality. It's my own my lived experience is informing this point, and you can't argue with that because I'm from XYZ minority and I have standpoint epistemology. But she's literally saying we don't need evidence, but I do have these rigorously researched anecdotes.
True.
Help us shift the dial. And we need a whole society approach on integration. And I'm not scared to tell those hard truths. I believe that we need to be honest.
Tell those hard truths. And what are the hard truths? Tell the truths.
With evidence, please.
Yeah, with evidence. Yeah. You do need those too. You can't just say gravity's not real.
That's the thing, right? Is that conservatives always do this. They always go with, like, we are the party of hard truths. We have this epistemic basis for these things that we believe. And they don't actually have any of these things. It's just that they perceive that they see the world as just so. They believe that there is a true nature to the world that they have sussed out. That is part of their ideology. And that's why anything that doesn't conform to that must therefore be wrong. And everyone who doesn't conform to it is lying to themselves and are abandoning truth. It's one of the reasons why they hate trans people so much and why they get so mad at us for existing around them, is because it interferes with what they believe to be the absolute truth. and anything that undermines what should be the perceived state of society, the perceived hierarchy, the perceived just so, must therefore be wrong. It's why they despise and talk about postmodernism a lot, because they believe postmodernism is undermining truth in the grandest sense by interrogating the way in which that we have derived the current truths, right? Which is essentially what postmodernism is. And so that's why they get so mad, because it's further unraveling what they believe to be like the divine truth that they have seen themselves as being part of conservatism. It really kind of philosophically undermines everything they believe, and that scares them, especially when it reaches the point where most of society disagrees with them on lots of these things.
Yeah.
Not suggesting for a second that we shouldn't talk about integration, but what I'm asking you to be specific about is, in this appalling case, what is the evidence that his heinous crimes were related in any way to a lack of integration in his community?
Well, this goes well beyond the community. This isn't just about people making friends in the community. It is about the sense of understanding of who they are, what they are doing in a country, why they are there, and why they should want the success of the people around them, the success of the country, not just feeling like they are so set apart. We saw evidence from the court case about the materials that he was reading, some of it religious extremism, some of it racial and ethnic hatred.
Right, but none of it was a remotely unified idea, and he wasn't acting upon that political, stuff. Like, there's nowhere in Mein Kampf does it say go into a Taylor Swift thing and stab 3 kids to death.
Exactly.
Nor does it say that in the Quran, or you know what I mean? Like, he was a nutter.
Exactly. I mean, and again, like, maybe this would be a salient point that she's making here. Okay, maybe it'd be a salient point if all of it was specifically like religious in nature, or religiously, or like terrorist ideologically, right? Maybe that would be the case. Maybe she'd have a reasonable case here, but that's just not true. It was completely kind of disparate and syncretic and all over the place, just centrally around the idea of just killing for the sake of killing, right?
Yeah.
There were so many disparate things that he had access to the point at which the judge who was making the ruling was explicit in saying there was no terrorist ideology behind anything here. Specifically, the reason that they gave was the disparate nature of the materials that were there.
Yep.
You can't point to, there was a specific piece of material here, therefore this is the thing that is the evidence as to why I am correct, if that's only a smaller part. And just what I was saying before, you could easily make the same you'd easily use that same reasoning for saying, well, actually this is a problem of white nationalism, because Mein Kampf was one of the books.
Yep.
That's enough for us to go on. We don't need to do, so much research on this for us to even just have a conversation about integration. And that's what I'm talking about. It's something that I'd wanted to do in government. I even had a report where we wanted to look at the success of migrants coming in multiple generations. We ran out of time. That's work that I think...
But that's not relevant to anything, because his parents were already integrated. He wasn't a migrant. So, like, what the fuck? What, again, in the same way that, like, Prevent couldn't have stopped this, because it's not what they're there to do, and Prevent is shit anyway, but regardless, your plan here wouldn't have affected this. You just want to say, he's black, but don't worry, I'm one of the good ones. That's what you want to say.
That's things, and again, maybe you could have a conversation about integration if there was a singular ideology that you could pin him down to, which obviously isn't the case, and if maybe a bunch of these views had been passed down to him by parents who are also not integrated, maybe you'd have a case here that you can have like multiple generations of people who are born in the country but who get taught within something that isn't integrated. If you're in this sphere where in your home life you're not seeing you're being part of like the broader community of the country and towards that kind of the civic nationalism or whatever, sure, maybe you could make that point, but it's explicitly not the case, because it's clear that his parents were integrated in that fashion. Where would he learn it from? Again, the answer is obviously and very clearly the fact that the guy was fucking mental.
Yeah.
We need to make a priority. Let's do that. And that's something that the government will not do. Keir Starmer is scared of these topics. He wants to run away from them. And I think that he needs to not be a lawyer about these issues and lead.
You raised the issue of the law. The Crown Prosecution Service in this case advised the government not to release certain information after the incident took place. Would you, if you were in charge, would you have overruled the CPS and said actually that information, as much as possible, should be out there to provide clarity for everybody?
I think it is really important that we make sure that the public has reassurance that the government is on top of things and knows what they're doing. As a minister, and the Prime Minister in particular, he will receive lots of advice from all sorts of places, but he has to make that ultimate decision. And this is why I think that whatever inquiry we have now needs to look at not just the incident itself, but the government's response to it and what we can do.
In this case?
I don't know exactly the advice the CPS...
Oh, for fuck's sake, this is drivel. I'm just listening to two dickheads. It's a waste of time. Like, you're not saying anything, Kemi, at all. This is a waste of everyone's time. It's fucking insulting to the intelligence of anyone watching this.
But I would have gone with whatever pathway would have provided the best reassurance to the public without prejudicing the trial. It's important that we don't run into contempt of court issues. That's why I have not raised the issue, which was sub judice in Parliament. We have a constitutional arrangements in this country, but there are precedents for that information being given out. There are precedents. So why was it different in this case? Because what we saw, the level of unrest...
Yeah, because of the unrest. Yes, sometimes there are very specific things. Now, the law is supposed to be blind, but Keir Starmer isn't the fucking law. He's the Prime Minister. So, yeah, there are certain bits of information that on other occasions you can release because it's not so high profile, it's not so sensitive. It's not necessarily fair in a sense because, like, for instance, this is one of the reasons they got rid of the Home Secretary being able to overrule parole panels. Because it was seen as unfair, right? That you would have high-profile cases where you couldn't realistically... Like, if Rose West was ever put forward for parole, there's no way you could release her. Even if she'd been in there forever and ever, there's no way. It's just too publicly sensitive. And so that needed to be taken out of the hands of the politician and given over exclusively to people in that field, right? Even though they listened to suggestions from the Home Secretary, which, you know... is a kind of fudge situation.
The funniest thing
it's obviously far too sensitive, given that we just had race riots within very recent memory, to release information necessarily about this case. And like, you just tough shit. I'm sorry. Don't do the race riots, and then maybe you get to listen to the information. If you can act like adults, you'll be treated like them.
It's true. It's true. The funny thing I always hear the people say is that, oh well, Keir Starmer locked up these people for Facebook posts, and I was just like, he's the Prime Minister.
Yeah, he's not a
the
judge.
Director of Public Prosecutions anymore. He's not a judge.
No.
He doesn't do sentencing. And the laws which were used to convict these people were written into law, were passed through the Commons under a Conservative government.
Yep. Well, that's
and
it.
the judge and the fucking head of the CPS was appointed by the last Tories.
Yep. So, Paul McCartney would have been more interesting, almost certainly. Yeah, he might have told a cool story about Ringo.
Us getting mad at her not refusing to answer the evidence question was definitely good content.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting like a fucking weird like epistemic conversation about the worth of evidence. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It took me back to the old fucking atheism days. No, the burden of proof is not on me to prove that gravity doesn't exist. Fuck's sake. Okay.
We saw after that really scared me. I know what it's like to be an ethnic minority in this country. I know what it's like to be a parent of young children.
Why are you making it worse then? Why are you making it more difficult for ethnic minorities? Because the thing is, this fucking evil prick who killed these babbies, he's safe. He's going to be locked in a fucking in the nonce wing, let's be honest, of the prison. So he's going to be perfectly safe. There are other black people in the country who aren't. Why are you making it more difficult? There are migrants who, again, this fucking whole thing was on a lie because fucking Andrew Tate made up that it was about migrants and Nigel Farage just believed him for some fucking reason. But they definitely want to protect women and girls, obviously. So they started doing fucking race riots about migrants. Like, you're making it more difficult. You're making it more difficult for people of ethnic minority backgrounds and migrants in this country. Stop being a prick. Look, the Conservatives, you've got to hand it to them. They've managed to take girl boss fucking fake corporate woke bullshit to its finest extent, where they can still do the most racist policy you've ever heard in your life, but have it sold to you by a black person so you can't attack it because some people are fucking idiots.
Yep.
To want safety, we need to be able to have conversations where people know what the truth is and we don't create a void.
Okay, but how do we discover what the truth is without evidence? Just guess? Just vibes? I reckon.
Misinformation.
And misinformation, of course, is something that's circulated in that instance and many others on social media. You're obviously concerned about young people's use of tech because the Conservatives are proposing to ban smartphones in schools. Why?
I am someone who strongly believes that young people should not be using smartphones, ideally up until the age of 16. I have a child who's nearly 12. She's just started secondary school. She's not been given a smartphone. She has a brick phone. And the reason why is because...
She has a brick phone.
Of course, it's something that...
Oh, bollocks. What did I do there? I don't know.
It was 50 something.
Instance, and many others on social media. You're obviously concerned about young people's use of tech because the Conservatives are proposing to ban smartphones in schools.
Back a few seconds.
I am someone who strongly believes that young people should not be using smartphones, ideally up until the age of 16. I have a child who's nearly 12. She's just started secondary school. She's not been given a smartphone. She has a brick phone. And the reason why is because it is very difficult to control the sorts of information that they are getting. I am a very tech-savvy person. I know how the internet works. Even I find it a struggle to lock down information that my children should not be accessing. And speaking to head teachers, I remember talking to the head teacher of Michaela about this, that the children who have smartphones do worse, have lower concentration than the ones who don't. We need to give our children the very best start.
This is what I really hate, is that there is a problem with kids using smartphones, with kids using the apps on smartphones, right? There is a problem, and it has been detailed that there is lots of studies showing the overexposure to these kind of things is damaging children's development. The problem, of course, is that smartphones themselves as pieces of technology are incredible. They're incredibly well designed. They're a feat of engineering that have revolutionized the way in which we communicate, the way in which we act, the way in which that we can have all the information we'd ever need at the tips of our fingers, quite literally. And people are trying to blame the technology, like the physical phone itself, as if it's the problem, and not the fact that the kind of websites that kids are using on these phones are owned by monsters, right?
Yeah.
There's no problem with kids having access to a phone that's useful for being able to search up all of the breadth of human knowledge on the vast array of things that the internet has available. It's terrible when they're on social media apps that are essentially killing their brains with slop to ensure that they have their attention span be as short as possible, to make sure they continue using the social media app, to target as many adverts at them as possible, and making things as toxic as possible to drive engagement, to target more adverts. Right? The problem here, of course, is neoliberalism and capitalism, because this is the no justice stream. But there is nothing inherently wrong with the phones themselves. The issue, of course, is that we are subcontracting out a bunch of the teachings of our children to tech fucking oligarchs who only care about AdSense revenue.
Exactly. Internet good. People who own internet bad.
Exactly. Well, that's literally it. That's literally it, right? You say, oh, well, I can't believe kids are seeing all of these horrendous images on Twitter or whatever. And I'm just like, well, because the algorithm wants you to look at them because they're shocking, right?
Yep.
Kids are getting their brains broken by TikTok, and so they can only concentrate when there's kinetic sand at the top and Subway surfers at the bottom, because that's what the TikTok algorithm has trained them to do, because it wants to make sure that it's watching their screen every day to target adverts at them. Like the only metric that social media adverts care about, the social media apps care about, the only metric they care about is how much time you spend looking at them, because that's where they make their money.
Yep. Thank you, Wayward Historian, for gifting a sub to Maria End. Much love.
In life, We didn't have these things when we were young, Laura. And even as adults, we find it addictive. If adults are addicted to this, then what chance do children have?
People will be interested to hear you start to set out more of what you believe on that issue and others. But many in your own party and also the polls suggest that you've struggled to get momentum since the time you've been in charge, and you're regularly behind in the polls.
Not true, not true. Downhill is a kind of momentum. I think you'll find falling downwards is a lot quicker than trying to climb upwards. She has gone very quickly downwards, okay? And not in a good way.
Polls, Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, he's having a good time at your expense. And if we show the poll of polls, so it's the average of all the latest ones, you are behind Reform. Why do you think he's ahead of...
Jeez, they didn't exist like 10 years ago. Fucking hell. I mean, I suppose UKIP did, but like, I don't know. They were a PLC 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Of you?
Because we have just been kicked out. The public are, well, certainly were very angry with the Conservative Party in July. What is surprising is that Labour is doing so badly.
Well, my question is...
Right, but you've gone down. Even though the government are very unpopular and nobody likes them, you will get fewer votes now.
Honestly, I think that it would be a more interesting question to ask her why more people prefer Nigel Farage to be Prime Minister than her. I'd be a more interesting question.
Yeah.
And also why his overall net positive approval rating is higher than hers. Because, of course, more people have heard of him. Like, if you're the official leader of the opposition, His Majesty's opposition, and you can't be as well known as a guy who's got 5 fucking MPs, then you're cooked. It's already cooked. It's already over.
Yeah, your party is done. Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy who spends more time in America than in Parliament or in Clacton. This guy's literally spent more time in Donald Trump's lower colon than in Parliament. And you still can't beat him.
So, yes, I know.
You're the big...
But it isn't 6 months after you just been kicked out. This was our most historic defeat. We've never had a defeat as bad as this. The idea that 6 months later the public would be rushing back to us is for the birds. What's happening is that they've just kicked out one party. The party that they voted for is letting them down. So the protest vote gets the support. And what we're seeing is people protesting at everything. They are angry, and they have every right to be.
So it's just
what I need to do is show
the
them
entitlement thing again. But those people will naturally come back to us. I've just got to explain conservatism to the plebs properly, and then they'll come back to us, and then we'll be the natural party of government again, because we deserve to be.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
They've learned nothing, both policy-wise and indeed their approach to democracy or giving a fuck about their own voters or anything. They've learned nothing.
Honestly, like, I'll probably have to leave the country if Nigel Farage becomes Prime Minister. I think most trans people probably will leave the country if Richard Tice gets his way on what policy would look like for trans people, if Reform end up in government. But I will take solace in the fact that if Nigel Farage is Prime Minister, it means the Conservative Party have been destroyed permanently. And you know what? That'll be sweet. My hatred for the Conservative Party, I despise the level of entitlement. They made me retweet Aaron Banks, calling them entitled, for essentially thinking that they have a divine right to be the major party in Britain. And that position being taken away from them by someone who I think it would literally make me leave the country, you know what? I will at least accept that's the silver lining on the Reform
Exactly.
cloud.
You've got to look at the positives in any situation, and the positive is the party with Gladstone. I think it was Gladstone, wasn't it? Anyway, and fucking Churchill and Thatcher and all of those. They're dead, gone. It's over. You took the greatest political inheritance on earth and killed it.
Yep.
Well done.
Stone dead.
Conservative Party is under new leadership, and also hold the government to account because they are making a lot of mistakes. I heard Rachel sit here and say certain things that are simply Not true. She's not bringing any stability to the economic finances, saying she'd signed off airports which were already in train. She actually stopped airport development in her constituency. Stansted Airport is in mine, and I never did that. And we need to show the difference between us and Labour.
And just lastly, one of the tangles you've had since you've been in charge is with Nigel Farage, where you accused the Reform Party of exaggerating their membership numbers. How many members does the Conservative Party have now?
We do not release our membership.
17. They have 17 members.
Oh, wait, no, 16 now. One's just died.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, they are old. The average age is 86, so yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, mad show.
Numbers? I know what.
But just to go to the authoritarianism that hides just beneath the surface with Farage, is that he can't even brook being opposed on his fake membership numbers. He's threatening to sue her over that. Like, imagine
free speech, though.
Exactly. Imagine when he gets into it won't be office anymore. It will be power. If he gets into power, and someone actually criticises him, the concentration camps will open very soon after he gets in.
Yep.
They are.
Well, why not? Because you were happy to have a go.
Well, they'll be called Liberty Centres or something. You know what I mean? Brought to you by Serco.
Nigel Farage saying that he had artificially inflated his, and then Reform UK took people in to go and look at how many members they have. Wouldn't it make people feel reassured if you were willing to be transparent about your own membership?
It's really important that we focus on the things that matter. I made a comment on Boxing Day. It does, but it doesn't matter to people out there. I've been travelling around the country. I was in Devon on Friday. I've been in the Midlands. People are crying out for help. They tell me that they are struggling. They're not interested in the Westminster bubble gossip of who has more members. I made a comment on Boxing Day, and I went back to my Christmas, and I actually found it quite funny, the number of people who were spending time on that. Most people were spending time with their families. That's what was important to me. Right now, I need to make sure that people can see that there is new leadership, that we're holding the government to account on all those issues that I mentioned on education, whether it's Southport or gangs, and definitely on the economy. This is the big thing. We are very worried about where we're going as a country.
And we'll hear lots more about the economy in the coming days. But Kemi Badenoch, thanks so much for coming in for the first time this year. It's great.
Jesus Christ, thank fuck for that. What a waste of fucking time. I don't want to listen to these three knobheads.
Nope. You're absolutely right.
Couldn't give less of a fuck in my life. But the last couple of minutes of that interview, I was just thinking to myself, I genuinely don't enjoy existence sometimes. Being alive, like, am I only here to suffer? Is that all? Is that it? Like, it just sucks the life out of you. Fucking
It really does. It really does.
Oh God, I might have to go and take heroin now. I think so. I think that's the only answer.
Jesus.
I will take heroin, and so should you. That's a joke. That is a joke, obviously. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad. Or at least do good drugs. I don't know. Anyway, everyone go and follow No Justice MTG. Otherwise, I will fucking inject insulin. What?
Please go and follow Kevin Logan. It's KF Logan 1875 over on Twitch and Ploppy111 over on YouTube.
Apologies for I'm defeated. That interview defeated me. The baffling shittery of it all has just killed my fucking reason to live. I don't know. Anyway, oh shit, who should we go over to? I guess
Should we go to Frogan for the hummus clout?
Oh yes. Oh fuck yes, hummus clout, love it. Everyone go and say hello to Frogan, who is fucking awesome. Well, until the camps start opening, and then I will have to disown her in order to try and stay free. I don't know. We'll probably join back up on Thursday, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Back for question time as always. My favourite day of the week.
Join me tomorrow. I'm on with Curtis. I'm doing Lonely Island with Curtis tomorrow.
Oh, so sweet. That'll be cool. Everyone go and tune in for that.
Yes. See ya. Free Palestine. Bye.
Bye.